Sorry about that, guys. That was my mama. She stopped by real quick before she heads to her house. She'll be back later to eat dinner because I am cooking dinner. Hi. Nala Grace, what's the ordeal? You hear my dog, she's pissed.
What was that, babe?
Mama, I was hoping and praying that she is one of the children found, to be honest. Foster dad, and I'm going to be honest, I think there is a couple of places, like, I feel like some other people were almost planted for distraction, kind of like Becca's story. To kind of make us be like, well, who the hell's this person? And what the hell's this? Yeah, and, I would be happy to speak with the foster dad, but he's not talking at all. He's not giving us any insight. He's not anything. He's not allowing people on the property. And like I said, if we start a search, the problem is the danger of people going missing themselves. The danger of falling in a 300-foot sinkhole out there. Just like Joe said, Joe is local. He lives a mile from where Winter went missing. And he himself said he does not go out in those woods because of that. However, getting the permission on the road, protesting, we also have to get permissions to certain parts of that because some of that road is private land and private property. And in order to get in there to where we need to search, you have to go through private property. And he's allowing nobody and nothing to go in there. And if we can't go in there, how are we going to search that area? But we are working on trying to get them to search that area. So is Kyler 2 hours away. I haven't seen evidence of that. I haven't seen any of that myself. So I cannot personally say. Hey, everybody. You getting dinner prepared? I'm cooking too, but it's got to cook for a little while. So I figured I would come on here with you guys. So all of you guys have actually heard the interview, right? The kitchen faced to the front of the property. So you have the front of the property. It's right there by the front. So you would be able to, but it enables. So you haven't seen the interview with Foster Dad when he first spoke. Okay, I can play that. Give me just a second to get my YouTube of, and you guys can hear some of the things that he says. Like, a lot of people missed certain segments of it. Now that we're re-reviewing it, my personal opinion, I'm leaning towards other things and other after the shitstorm. And we all know that we have a shitstorm in the beginning of anything like this. But I just don't feel that she left there accordingly. I just don't. Hi, Mind of Monsters. I just don't feel that she would, and I'm hearing speculation. Now, this is, somebody said that the Johnny joined the live the other night and said that she had left with a backpack and some clothes. I don't know that to be a fact. I have not confirmed that anywhere. So there has been no confirmation that she had clothes or a backpack in any of this. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I personally have questions on how do you not know what she was wearing, especially if you were with her that day. Yeah, so Mind of Monsters, Dana brought it up earlier on the live with Tree. And Tree, Nola Grace, honey. Tree had said, so Johnny, the cousin, was in a live the other night with Tree and them and said that she had left with the backpack and a couple pairs of clothes was missing. And if that's the case, then that changes my whole perspective. Thank you, Lex, baby. But I have not confirmed that. Like, that's something I have not confirmed at all. Nola Grace. My dog is trying to block the phone so I can't see your guys' comments because she's like, pay attention to me. We don't know that she ever left. So Johnny the cousin, Dana brought up a good point today. Said Johnny the cousin had said that she had left with clothing. Like a little backpack. Nobody knows that's unconfirmed. Hey, Helen. Yeah, so that's an unconfirmed source. Yes, but the dad's saying she didn't leave with nothing. So I don't know. There's a lot of conflicting stories. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, my God, like, in the scenarios playing out in my head, this could be three different scenarios, right? Like, she either A, she left with somebody, B, she walked out, got a ride, and somebody did take her to Florida, or C, something happened to her in that area and nobody's telling us about it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is
Hey, love.
Hey, love. Because you think about this, like, in your head, the highest scenario, like, we don't know if she left with clothes. We don't know, anything. Basically, all we know is she left that house. And that was only confirmed by the foster parents' voice. Well, we also heard from the same people, such as Courtney, that said the same thing. And look what happened. You know what I mean? Like, we can't always, like, I'm not following, and I have some contradicting things from the foster dad that I just have questions pertaining to.
Yeah, when I was digging into it too from the Johnny source, it was the foster dad told Johnny this. So the fact it's changing adds questions.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Dora, I do know what she was wearing.
Do you know what she was wearing that day?
Yeah. Yes. When she was last seen, she was wearing a hoodie. They were unsure of the color of the hoodie, a black pair of leggings, and Converse shoes. But there's never been any mention of a backpack.
Well, now the foster dad is saying she left with a backpack.
I've never heard that about a backpack, and I have questions for him to start with. So take it with a grain of salt. Anything that comes out of him until, you know what I mean, until law enforcement comes out.
Exactly. He's telling the cousin that there was a couple articles of clothing missing in a backpack.
Why the cousin, not bio dad?
Yeah, and I wonder if he told law enforcement.
Right. I mean, I have so many questions right now that I'm just like, wait a freaking minute.
Oh, it's probably mine. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with my little mini mics. The ones that are supposed to be noise canceling, they started messing up last night. I had to use my boom mic.
Girl, it's so loud here too. But listen, y'all gonna have to deal with it. I love y'all, but
It's the holidays. We get a little bit of a leeway.
These were phenomenal when I first got them. Like, you couldn't hear anything in the background. You couldn't hear, my old man snoring at night or nothing. And all of a sudden, I don't know, they haven't got wet or anything. I don't know what's going on with them.
so
No,
here's Taylor.
speaking about this backpack, I think we should try to find Johnny and see if he can describe the backpack.
Taylor says, I'm Winter's second cousin. From the very beginning, I've heard that she left with a backpack with $15. But I think that's a minor, guys. We cannot have her up on a panel. What's up, Kay?
What is she going to do? Even if she did take a backpack with $15, what would she get with $15?
In time, she's not going to get much. Something to drink and a bag of chips. It's sure not going to get her to Florida.
Yeah. I'm
Well, just think, it's been 2 months.
Hey, love.
Hey guys,
Hey, girl.
what's up?
We're just now talking about the contradicting stories of Winter's oh god, foster dad.
Gotcha. I just got done hanging out with a bunch of first graders at a
How
Christmas
was that?
party. Chaotic.
That sounds like fun.
It was fun. It was very cute. It was a good little Christmas party, but my my anxiety's legit through the roof. I'm so overstimulated.
Blame me,
But
love.
it was cute.
Another point, when the McCoys interviewed him, he was so open with information. In my mind, why didn't he mention the backpack? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And he now refuses. He will not let us come there. Because I even asked the family to talk to him and see if he would let us come there. Nope, absolutely not. It was a direct no. Nobody is to be on the property. And why is that?
It beats me, girl. Like I said, in the very beginning,
Like,
within the
I
first week,
understand that people,
I offered
like,
to
I
come up.
understand that people are at a fall risk. You have sinkholes that are 200 feet deep, and you have a risk of people going missing themselves. However, nobody is trying to go into those woods at a certain hour. Nobody is trying to do any of that. We're just simply wanting to check the pond area, check the open places there to start off. And how is it that you're not open to allowing that? And last
Exactly.
night, Mind of Monsters, if you didn't hear the reading from the young lady, she said, Miss Deb, she said that she pictured a man in a checkered shirt, like a, you know what I'm talking about? It's almost like a button up. You know how they have them with the little pockets on the front for men that are,
Yeah, like a flannel.
yes, like a plaid. She mentioned a
Those are common.
plaid
I've got
shirt
them.
with shorts. Well, come to find out, Wynn said the weekend after Winter disappeared on Saturday. Hey, Joe. After she had disappeared, he was sitting in the thicket by the road, and when people passed by there, he pulled his hat down.
Well, that's strange.
And he was in a checkered shirt and shorts. The foster dad. Now, I do know that the foster dad is big into church. He is a. They are big within the church. Also, we don't know. About this cell phone. And we don't know if a call was made or not, or if someone else made the call. Because if you are not aware of your child having a burner phone, you're not going to know that it operates off of Wi-Fi, right? If your child has a burner phone and they're sneaking it from you, you're not going to know details regarding the phone. No. And see, Joe said we don't know for sure that she even made it home from her counseling session. So correct, that's not it. The only thing that we know is word of mouth by foster dad saying that they came home that evening. And they were cooking dinner. They were going to go up to the pond area. Thank you, guys. We were going up to the pond area to go look at the pond and things like that, like they normally did on their walks. And when they came back, Winter wasn't there. Foster mom's not talking either.
They shut down in the very beginning. Like in the very beginning, they shut down. And just recently, I would say within the past month, they've made their FBs private, because in the beginning those were not private. You were able to see photos and they didn't have very many friends on either one of them, which is neither here nor there. But you were able to still see their FB pages in the beginning. But like I
And
said,
Joe,
the foster parents were people searching to start with, because when she first went missing, I offered to fly up there, which, I come up there 2 times a year anyway. We had just got home a few months before, but that didn't matter. And I offered to help search, but the searches that were done were kept very small searches and they weren't made public. Like, I knew about them because I was talking to people in the background, but not, it wasn't something that just was blasted on the news or, anything like that. Not even in the FB groups.
Right. And Joe here, that's in the box. Joe, he lives a mile from them. A mile.
It's been phenomenal.
He's been working with law enforcement. If he receives the tip or if he thinks something's weird, he reports it. It's odd to me is we don't know for sure if she actually showed back up at home from therapy. Anything could have happened.
Exactly.
Did she get dropped off on the side of the interstate? Hey, Steph.
Thankful for the employees, that we have that interview, because if it wasn't for them, it would, to this day, it would still be crickets from the last people that saw Winter.
Yes.
That we can physically confirm.
My thing is, if that kitchen's off the road and it's facing the road, the way that Joe was describing today, that he could tell who was coming on the road at any time, but foster mom didn't.
Exactly. It's odd to me from the aerial when you're looking at it. Steph, I don't know if it was in, if it's the Center for Children. There is a children's center that is attached to Rockcastle County Hospital. There is a children's therapy located inside of there, and that's all the way across town. That would take about 15 minutes to get to from her house. And stuff like they're even saying, the problem that everybody's running into is the fact that he's not cooperating. He's not allowing no civilians out there. He's not allowing nothing. And in order to get to that property, you have to go through private property to get there to search. Is foster parents' houses in the country? Absolutely. And that's the issue we're running into, Steph, because of course we can't just go onto their property without special permissions from law enforcement, or because we're not here to do any of that. We're here to cooperate with them and say, hey, if we're willing to come search, can we search here? Can this be a starting point? But he's not allowing that, and he has that say so. He has all authority to say so because that is his property. And if he doesn't want anybody there, we can't go there and search. And if you protest, another thing, just like Joe described earlier, the protest, we have to get permissions too, because the road that leads up to there and that road going to his house is also private property. Half of it is private property and half of it is localed. That's free to the public.
Yeah, that's what I was asking earlier.
So you have to check and see if the road in front of his portion is private property. And Joe even said, because Joe lives a mile up the road from him, and Joe said that even to get to where we would need to search, it is all private property. And that's the issue we're having. The real dad can't get permission, no. It would have to be the landowners giving permission.
My question is, why would he report her missing so quickly without searching? That's all.
Well, see, there's things with the timeline that don't make sense to me either, but there's a couple things that they're not releasing, that they're not telling us because they obviously know.
Right.
The timeline of events from coming home to disappearing doesn't make sense to me.
Me either. And getting rid of her stuff. I hear that they took her stuff already.
They did. So I have confirmed.
Yeah.
And I have confirmed that with a close relative that has been out there that also the foster family talks to. They have removed every bit of her belongings and taken them to CPS.
Wow. You think it's just because they're just over it? You think she just ran away a lot?
So her belongings are not in their care. They're with CPS. So there are some things that she is not welcome back there. Correct. He said she is not welcome back there if she's found. She's not to come back.
That just doesn't seem
I'm sorry,
like
what?
Correct.
What?
Correct. He has gave up the rights to her. So if she is found, she goes back into the custody of CPS.
Unbelievable. And that just goes to show that they're not doing this for the right reasons. I'm
Correct.
sorry, but if I was fostering a kid, never in a million years would I be like, you're not welcome back here. Are you joking? Especially if they're missing. Like, what?
Correct. They did.
That makes me mad. That makes me real mad.
They removed her stuff and gave it back to CPS, including her phone, and said that she is not welcomed back.
So for what did they say the reasoning was?
She's a trouble child.
She's a troubled child. Yeah, okay. You know what? I'm done. I'm just done. I can't. Yeah, that's your job as a foster parent, is to love the child as your own and to make them not troubled anymore, to help them, to be there for them, to help give them a safe space, not to literally sit there and go, you're a troubled child, I don't want you anymore. Like,
Correct.
what in the absolute fuck? Are you kidding me right now? That shit makes me so mad.
And the
Right there.
day that she went missing, he was talking to Wynn, which is a neighbor.
But it's a
Wynn
money
is
grab
awesome.
system. Sorry.
Yes.
Just go ahead.
And
I'm sorry.
Wynn's nephew was at the barn talking to him, because remember when he said they went for a walk up to the pond at the barn, Wynn's nephew was there talking to him, and all he was talking about is how he was saying a lot of negative things about Winter. That's like within minutes before her going missing.
Someone just said in the comments something about her stealing $100. Was that ever confirmed? Was the question. And
No.
and I get that they're asking that. I get Hot Mess Gesture, you're asking the question, and I don't know. And Dora just said that it hasn't been confirmed. But here's the other thing with that. Again, these are children. Children do stupid shit. You don't just go, here, CPS, take this kid back because they stole $100 from me. Like, what in the actual? Are you kidding me?
Right. And I am over here like, but yeah, they said that if she is located, she is not welcomed back into their home. But
And
he
see,
has her two other siblings.
I can't.
and he didn't give the clothes back or do any of that until after she come missing, even
Correct.
though supposedly she was so much trouble the whole time he had her.
Correct.
And didn't she? How many times did she run off before? Like 2 or 3 times?
No,
2?
once in his care.
In his
Once.
care, so once. Okay.
Yes, and it was a month or so prior. She only made it a mile, and she called her dad's mother to come and get her, that she was going to meet them at the Shell station. That is my understanding, is that when she called Dusty's mom, she just said, come and get me. And they told her no, that they couldn't, because they don't have the authority to come and get her, that she needed to go back to the house. And she went back to the house.
There's a reason why she's leaving, I feel like. I just find it suspicious with the foster parents. I just do.
Yeah, and they're saying that Winter did steal money, but I have not confirmed that. And Steph's in here. Somebody said that he showed Steph or told Steph there's proof. I don't know. I haven't seen that proof, and I'm sure Steph hasn't either, because the foster parents are not cooperating. They're not talking. They're not giving any permissions to come onto their property to search. They're not doing anything. Steph confirmed she hasn't seen it either. So the biggest question is over all of this, like, I do know that if she is found, she is not welcome back into their home. All of her belongings are with CPS, including the phone that she had that was taken from her for bad behavior, and she was working it off.
Where would she go? Like, if she was found, where would she end up going?
Hold on. Everyone's asking, can't the cops serve the foster parents with a warrant to search the property? So there has to be probable cause. There can't just be reasonable suspicion for a warrant. There has to be probable cause. Yes, there is a missing child, which in my opinion could fall under exigent circumstances, but they would have to be able to point that this is not a runaway and that there is something exigent or some sort of imminent danger that bypasses that Fourth Amendment protection. So right now, because they're not cooperating, there's not enough in order for them to obtain that warrant.
According to
Correct.
Haley, which is Summer's aunt on the biological side, that first initial search where they had the dogs and then the drones and
They did search the
all
property.
that they did search the property. And that's according to Haley.
That was
And
not
as
like
far
all
as
of the property. It was only the inside of the house and around the house.
right.
Dora, I'm
The
gonna jump down so I can
those
get to
woods is what needs to be searched. Those woods, those hills is what needs to be searched in the areas.
Correct.
And
And next
I
week
don't
would
care
be
if they brought
perfect
the Kentucky
timing for
State
them to go out
Police,
there.
the feds and all of them in there. They needed a huge, a couple hundred people up there searching, doing grid searches, in my opinion, instead of, fish and game and KSP and,
Yes.
a couple of counties,
So Joe is saying the woods
But
and the
as far
caves
as
have been
the money
searched.
that was stolen, all of the all 80 acre or 80 to 100 acres, Joe, because Haley never spoke on how much of it was searched, and the law
Yeah, they're
enforcement
saying
hasn't told anything. Their
probably
press
the
release
ones that,
specifically says they're not going to say.
and it's probably only the woods behind there. Joe lives a mile from them, Chastity.
So everyone's asking, or someone just asked me, what can we do or who can we call in order to make noise about this? Let me ask a question only because I've just been in here intermittently. You guys have been on top of this, so I haven't really dove into it as much. It sounds to me like the police have been searching. Or where is that in your guys' opinion failing?
Right. Like it sounds like that they have and they have to follow up on leads. I just don't think there's any really prominent leads that is leading them
Right.
to get probable cause. And like I said, though, Kristen, earlier, they have to find probable cause to allow us to go in there and search the pond or whatever that he owns.
And I say this, you guys know this, but just for the people in the chat, like I say this all the time, we have to remember our system is set up to protect the innocent, not the guilty. And so they're not going to violate those Fourth Amendment search and seizure protections that we are afforded, right? Especially on property, especially in a home and things like that without that probable cause. I mean, they're playing it smart. They're not saying a whole lot. And when you're not talking and you're exercising your Fifth Amendment right, you're not giving them enough to be able to say, wait a minute, so-and-so said this or so-and-so said that, you know what I mean? And so that's the hardest thing is they're going to have to prove that there's some sort of exigent circumstance. And yes, there's a missing kid, but unfortunately a missing kid is not enough of an exigent circumstance, especially at that age, in order to, or with the foster parents or even CPS possibly saying, again, quote unquote, she's a troubled child. Now, again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying when these comments are being made, very unfortunately, especially when it's a child in the system, they're going to treat it as a runaway almost every single time. And that's the hard part. I mean, the medium that works with law enforcement, I mean, yeah, they can for investigative purposes, but they can't use something that the medium says in order to obtain probable cause. So if that's what if that's kind of what you're hinting at, that's not going to work either, unfortunately.
Yes, exactly. Like you can't, unfortunately, it's a matter of, okay, well, she ran away. They're treating it as a runaway. It's not going to be treated otherwise, like Kristen said, because they have to find probable cause. And if they don't see an exit for probable cause, they're not going to continue to keep going back and getting all these warrants to search. They have to obtain a warrant to be able to search that property. And again, we're running into so many issues also because us civilians can't go out there on that property because it is private property. And in order to get to where you need to go search, it is private property. Also, half of the road is private property. Certain portions of the road is private property. So it's those types of things that we're running into
And
that
guys,
is
no
causing issues.
signatures for a search that doesn't. So let me explain what probable cause is. So probable cause is a reasonable belief. It's still higher than reasonable suspicion, but it's a reasonable belief that a crime has occurred or that evidence of a crime is present in the location that is to be searched. They have to be able to state the person to be searched or the place to be searched and exactly what it is that they're looking for. And they cannot deviate outside of the four corners of that warrant. If they say, hey, we think that there's a pew-pew in this closet, in this room, in this home, they can only go in that room, in that home, in that closet and get that pew-pew, right? Now, you can obtain what is called a blanket right warrant if there is enough, again, to justify that. But it's, again, probable cause. You have to be able to specify what evidence you're looking for and where it's present at or where you believe it's present at. And then you have to have something or some sort of a fact that is your supporting fact in order to go to a judge and say, hey, this. And again, in cases like this, I get it's emotionally triggered, but you also have to put yourself in the situation. What if, and this happens all the time, what if you were the person who had, let's say somebody said, oh, out of nowhere, you kidnapped this person, you unalived this person, or you did this, and you're like, wait a minute, no, I didn't. And then you get individuals that walk in your house in something that's politically motivated, or in this situation where the public is raising a huge stink about it, they're going to be like, anything we find, we're going to point in that direction just so we can close this case. Literally, guys, they do it all the time. All the time.
Correct. Like, I can't just make a call and say, Kristen has this person inside her home and them just barge up in her home.
Well, and there's a lot of people in the comments saying they could search everything I own. I wouldn't care. Guys, you say that. I'm telling you, you say that. I do this day in and day out, and I've done it day in and day out for the last almost 21 years. It'll be 21 years in February. And I'm telling you right now, you say that until they literally come in and they plant something, which happens every single day in this country, or they come in and they talk to somebody in your family and then they misconstrue what was said, or the telephone game starts getting played. I watched body camera footage just today, just this morning, where one officer literally asked an individual, did you know where it was a family court case? Did you know where your child was? And she's literally like, no, the other officer said that she was over here, type of situation, and she went with the dad and blah blah, and she literally explained the whole thing, and then he went over to the other officer right after she said all this, and it's on camera, by the way, went over to the other officer and said she said that she knew where her child was the whole entire time, when she literally said, no, the only reason why I knew where my child was because the other officer rang my doorbell and said that the kid went to the dad's house. They will make up stuff, guys, all the time. And so you say that you're okay with that until you are put in the position, and then you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have let them talk to me. I shouldn't have let them search my house. When you can say you have nothing to hide all you want, and we want to believe that they're going to do the right thing, but knowing that there's a possibility that they wouldn't is why you don't take that chance.
Yep, correct.
And I get you guys are saying this is not just one of us. This is a child that was in foster care that just went missing. They're still one of us. They're still a person. Like what I'm going to tell you right now, look at the statistics. Look at a parent who unalives their child, or a parent who abuses or neglects their child, what they are end up being charged with. And then go and look at a foster parent and what they end up getting charged with, and look at the difference. A parent of a child will always get a harsher sentence, a harsher punishment, a harsher anything than a foster family will. There was that case that just happened with God, I'm not going to remember the name off the top of my head, but you can look it up. It was the husband and the wife, and literally that we're talking couple years that they got.
Yes.
For literally neglecting and abusing a child, severely neglecting and abusing a child, locking them in a cage, all of the things. But because it was a foster family and it wasn't their own child, they literally, the government will protect someone that is contracted with the government in order to watch a child that was in their custody, because they're the ones that gave the child to them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kristen, while you're on that topic, I had a question about that. I used to do social work and I was like a guardian of elderly people and payee, that kind of thing. My question is in regards to this and what are their rights and like people searching's rights? I'm asking in regards to her being a ward of the state. Does that change the circumstances for that?
No, they're still protected under the Fourth Amendment regardless. No matter
Okay,
what.
that's what I
they're
want,
still-
because I know,
yeah.
like, say for example, a social worker wanted to go do a visit.
They can do that.
They don't.
They can
That's
do
what I
that.
was going to say. They don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to announce that. So that's why I wondered if it changed for this scenario.
Well, you would have to look at what is in place. So usually when a child's been given over to a foster family, there's some sort of a court order that says that they do telephone visits or they can do in-home visits. And they will usually call them and say, and give them some sort of a, hey, we're going to be stopping by, whatever. I will tell you, it's more normal for them to go and check up on a child in the custody of their own parents during a TAPA agreement or some sort of temporary alternative placement agreement or something like that, right? Or when reunification is happening, than it is for them to go show up and check up on the child when they're in a foster home.
Thank you. That was my only question in regards to her being a ward of the state and not necessarily, property of the foster parents, if that changed it. Thank you for answering.
And again, I'm not agreeing with any of this whatsoever. I'm just letting you know that the system's broken. The system is broken. These kids are not protected the way that they should. And again, the justice system is structured to protect the innocent, not the guilty. And so it's in place because, like I say all the time, it's better for one guilty person to walk free than one innocent person to be behind bars. And that's how it's set up. It's set up to prevent innocent people from being convicted. Although it happens every single day and they're railroaded through the system every single day. Again, that's just how it happens. See, someone just said, I was in a foster home for 5 years and never once did they come to our home. It is very, very rare for them to go and check up on the children that are in a foster home, which is why they get away with so much.
And I'll disagree with that a little bit. I believe that it's what state you're in, because when I was a foster care parent in South Dakota, so when we first get a foster kid in custody, the social worker has to come in within 24 hours to see the child after their first day, and then it's weekly for a month, and then it's monthly. But they tell us and schedule a time for them to come. They don't ever just, hi, how are you?
Well, that's every policy for every state. The policy says that for every state. It doesn't mean that they do it. That's my point.
Right.
Is that the policy is always their internal policies and procedures are always going to say, hey, we're supposed to do this. Just like the laws say, hey, we're supposed to do this. That doesn't mean that that's what they're abiding by. And it's also going to depend on who the agent is. I just talked to someone else who's a forensic, I don't know if she's in here or not, but she's a forensic psychologist. And she literally told me a story where she was like, these individuals would literally sit around at a table and joke and try to pass off these cases to other counties so they didn't have to deal with it.
Right. And I agree with that. And on top of that, like for our quote unquote visits, sometimes they'll do it right over the phone if they're so busy.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on you. Sometimes you're going to get a worker that absolutely unequivocally does their job by the book, like they're supposed to. And that's great, right? It's just like with any other, it's just like with anything else that, you're going to have the good and the bad. Unfortunately, though, I see more bad than I do good, especially when it comes to family court and CPS. It's very, 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 very backwards. It's very, 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 very corrupt. And it's a money-based system. And there's a lot of reform that needs to happen.
And that I can totally agree
I think
with.
there needs to be more structured laws and more checking in as far as like employees when it comes to that, because they're not all going to abide by exactly the rule book.
And like when I went through my classes and everything, I could literally sit around that table and point out exactly who was there for the right cause and who was there for the money or to get a child just to work on their place. You could see exactly who they were and who they weren't. My husband and I were sick. There was only like
Yes.
one other couple that was there for the right reason.
Oh,
Like
here
I
comes
told
Malibu Dallas.
like I told 90% of the people, what I did with my monthly check, which wasn't worth, anything. It's supposed to just help out. Well, I opened a savings account that they can't touch until they're 21 years old, and it's locked down. Like her mom can't touch her or nothing, and that's where all that money went.
Yeah,
Hi,
it's
Dallas.
broken. Hey, Dallas.
Hey,
Yep.
everybody.
But I'm gonna jump down. Thank you for letting me come up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How are you, my friend?
This is a very interesting discussion I came across.
Well, we're talking about so Winter's been missing, and the foster. I know this is going to surprise you one bit because you and I have these conversations all the time, and you already know what I'm probably going to say. But foster parent said she's a troubled child. Literally said even if they do find her, she's not welcome back in the home.
Of course, the children are troubled children. Look at the psychological damage these freaking agencies are committing on them.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely. So
It's
basically,
sad.
she just vanished and took off from home without a trace.
In
So
an
is this a
area that's
child we
one
know?
way in, one way in, one way out.
Is this a child that we have personal knowledge of, or
Yes.
whose child are we talking about?
So Summer, her name is Winter Wagner. Her mother, Summer, as she was fighting addiction. She had gotten the kids taken away from her. The dad had ended up in he ended up in jail for child support, got out. Well, she was in foster home, and she had tried to run away one time, got a mile down the road, called somebody to come and get her. We don't know her actually, like, personally. We just know her story. According to the foster dad, on the day of October 14th, they went and got her from school at 12 o'clock. She came home because she wasn't feeling good. She came home, she napped until 3 o'clock. And after 3 o'clock, they were supposed to go they were going to cook dinner. They were supposed to take a walk. They usually take a walk to the pond area, whatnot, like where the barn and stuff is. He had the little one at the barn and the pond because a neighbor saw them there. But when he come back to get her up for dinner, she wasn't there.
Dora, really quick, can you
How
explain to
old is
everybody
she?
what I mean really quick and to Dallas what I mean by one way in, one way out?
We're
It's a
talking
one
about,
lane road. It's a one lane
yes,
road with woods everywhere. That's what I mean by one way in, one way out. It's pretty much a one lane road. If they were
Oh,
on that walk
the location that they're in. It's very, very rural. Like there's
near
no.
Appalachian Mountains.
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, it's
Like
in the
behind the house
Appalachians.
is nothing but wooded area.
Correct. It's nothing but terrain. And when I say it's really bad, it's bad. Now you've got other things, and you've got the foster dad who um has said that, if she, and he was talking to the guy at the barn that day saying that she was a troubled child, but she had went to therapy. Yes, sorry guys, she went to therapy between 4:30, 5 something. When they got back, they went to get her for dinner. They were cooking dinner, whatever, and she was gone. She vanished.
What time of day did she vanish? Do we know?
Like 6:15, 6:45.
Well, because I do know I see stories all the time that the Appalachian Mountains at nighttime are absolutely horrendous.
They are. Yeah. See, even this guy knows.
That's
I'm
part of
from
our
here.
point is that she wouldn't have just gone outside and started walking through the freaking woods
No.
in the Appalachian Mountains at nighttime. That's wild
How
for a
old is
child
she
to do
again?
that.
13.
So 13. She has awareness. She has intellectual awareness of her surroundings and knows that there's danger. Why would she just voluntarily just say, let's go for a walk out in the freaking Appalachian woods at 6, 7 o'clock at night?
No, that's our
Right.
point. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Yep, that's our point. Because I'm just
Yeah,
like, there's no way she
the
would have known
logic is not
better.
there.
Exactly. And she would have absolutely known better because nobody here, I'm from the area, and nobody here would tell you to go into the woods at night, not let alone you already know these things. You're not going.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of suspicious activities surrounding that already. I mean, I don't even know all the story. I don't know the whole detail, but even I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
The foster parents aren't cooperating with anything, and again, my legal mind says don't talk to the cops, right? So if everybody's pointing fingers at them, you just don't talk, right? You
Right.
just shut your mouth and you exercise Fifth Amendment right. So again, professionally, I'm like, it's smart. Again, my empath, right, that wants to find this child is like, dude, why are you saying she's no longer welcome back here, right? She giving all of her stuff back to CPS. Even if you do find her, she can't come back here anymore. All that stuff is just very bizarre to me, and they're not cooperating with anything at all anymore.
Do
Like
we
nothing.
know when the last time CPS checked up on her?
That is
And that's what
unknown.
we were talking about when you came in here, is that we don't know, but how often do they actually do that, right?
Well, I will tell you from my own my I'll give you my own expert opinion here. Um, I've seen a lot of cases where, like, even when I was in foster care, I ran away a few times. But the thing is when a foster care child either quote unquote runs away or disappears, a lot of the time CPS and it's there's reports on this. CPS will relocate that child without telling anybody across state lines, and they'll claim that that child has ran away, but yet they'll still collect federal funding on that child.
100%. That's why I keep saying it's a money grab.
Yeah.
It's
I've
absolutely a
seen
money grab.
I've seen horrific stories like this all over the place. So what I would do is I would do a deep uh, forensic audit on the agency where their money was going with that one child. Um, I would follow the money, because you can do that. You can have a private investigator. You can even have the state auditor um, order or even do their own forensic financial audit on the cases.
Oh, so you actually can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can
100%.
have a
It's all
forensic
public
financial
record.
audit done on a judge. You can have it done on the governor. You can have it done on CPS agencies directly. And if these agencies are found in violation or misconduct of federal funding or misappropriation of state funds or anything like that, that means that they're in violation of their contract with the federal government. Which means if they're in violation of their contract with the federal government and state government, their license, they're no longer eligible to hold their license. The agency needs to be shut down.
Okay, so the family member is in the chat of her and said, I am a part of the family. She left with just a backpack and a change of clothes.
Yeah, that's Johnny.
And how long ago was this?
October 14th.
October 14th?
Correct.
CPS cannot take a child across state lines. CPS can be ordered by a judge to go get a child from another state and bring them back to a state that they originally resided in if there's like, a parental kidnapping situation or something like that. Again, I'm talking about the legality of it, not what I believe should happen. But
Right. The
they can't.
legality is completely different than the reality of it.
Yeah. So we're not talking about the reality of what happens, but they cannot go and they can't take a child to another state is to answer your question.
Well,
Whoever
yeah.
asked that in the chat.
Just like they can't walk into your house without a warrant and remove your children. But we all know that they do that every single day.
Yeah. And we were just talking about that earlier because I was saying they're not getting a warrant to search this, and I was trying to explain to them that there has to be probable cause, and they have to be able to prove, they need some fact that proves that there is either evidence of a crime being committed or that a crime was committed. So they have to know what piece of evidence they're looking for and where they're looking for it at in the home to obtain that warrant. Or they would have to prove that crime was committed in the home, and because the family's not talking, they have nothing to go off of at this point. And that's why everybody's like, well, why can we get signatures for a search warrant and all that? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Because the system is built to protect the innocent, not the guilty. in a perfect world, right? And so law enforcement has actually quite shockingly, like, done some searches in the public areas that they can search and things like that, but they just don't really have anything to go off of at this point.
Yeah, they don't have, like, say
They've
you
hit a
wanted
dead
to
end.
go and, yeah, it's like a dead end type of ordeal. Like, you can't, there's nothing showing a probable cause at this moment for them to go and for them to actually search this pond or search this barn. It's crazy.
Just because it was the last place she was at, guys, I don't know who told you that, Tina, but that is not true. It is a violation of the Fourth Amendment for that. They can't just say, oh, she was there last. Okay, we can get a search warrant for the house. There has to be. So the only exception to the Fourth Amendment search and seizure requirements in every state is if there is exigent circumstances or imminent danger. Right now, they're treating this as a runaway. So because of that, that's not going to meet the exigent circumstance, or they don't have any proof that she's in imminent danger or that something could potentially be wrong. A missing child doesn't prove imminent danger, and there is Supreme Court case precedent that backs that up. So just because she was there, that was the last place she was seen, that does not give them enough to obtain a search warrant. And even if they did obtain a search warrant, again, they would have to say, for instance, if they thought that there was, again, I'm just using an example totally off the wall here, but they would have to go to the judge and say, Judge, in this house at 123 Main Street, in this room, in this closet is a pew pew. And the warrant would have to specifically state exactly all of that. And that's the only place that they could go. Now, they can get a blanket warrant to be able to search the entire property. But again, they have to have that probable cause, that exigent circumstance, imminent danger, or proof that a crime was committed there. Or in the exception, again, they would have to know that there is a piece of evidence linking to a crime that was committed. And again, they don't have any of that right now. So that probable cause cannot be met to be able to obtain that.
Right. They can't just go in there and say, hey, I'm coming in your house because this is the last place she was seen and this is the last place we saw her at. They can't.
I did, Tainted Soul. I was just answering someone else's question that they put in there. They might have come in late.
Right. They can't just barge up in your house. They have to find some type, like Kristen said, say, okay, let's use Winter's story, for instance. If they say they went and talked to the foster parents and the foster parents says, yes, come in and search. They go in, they look around, they find something. They have to go back to that judge, then say, okay, here's the probable cause. We found a weapon located, covered up in a towel at this location, at this address. Where it was at was in this closet or laying on the ground. They have to give statements that are straight statements of where and why. Who, what, when, where, and why.
Gigi, I get what you're saying, that you don't like the rules or the laws at all. But like I said before, that the Fourth Amendment's not going anywhere. And I can promise you, we can still want to find Winter and we can still stand for her, but we cannot breach constitutionally protected rights. And the minute that that's a fine line. And the minute that you cross that fine line, then it's going to be prosecutorial overreach, judicial overreach. It's going to be, again, innocent people are going to get railroaded in a system where they're already getting railroaded, and it just becomes worse. So again, that's why I'm so loud about, hey, we have these constitutionally protected rights to protect the innocent individuals and to protect our rights. No matter what, I have nothing to hide, but I can tell you right now, any police officer that comes to my house is never coming in my house. That doesn't mean I have something to hide. It just means I know what my rights are, and I'm never going to give them an opportunity to build a case against me for something and that's exactly the reason why in my situation, they had to throw me in jail to then violate my ex-husband's rights because they knew that I knew my rights and I wasn't going to let him in anywhere.
So I tell people this all the time, like the moment you let them in your house is the moment that you show consent. So like if I personally have friends who are police officers. If they showed up to my house in uniform, even though they're my friends, they would never, ever, ever step foot in my house unless they had a warrant. a legal and lawful warrant to step foot in my house. If they want to show up on at my house on the weekend and have a barbecue and they're not in uniform, fantastic. Come on in, be a part of the family, have a good time, whatever. But if you are in uniform, you are never stepping foot in my house.
Guys, this law is not going to change. It is the Constitution. The Constitution's not going away. Period.
And it's not because it's because I don't trust my friends. It's because that uniform stands for something. And that uniform does not stand for protecting the people. It stands for tax collector doing what's in the best interest of the state and the government. So you got to look at things a little bit differently. And she's right. You know, the Fourth Amendment's not going anywhere. The First Amendment's not going anywhere. They're slowly dwindling at it, but it's not going to go anywhere. Because once you let them in the house and saying, oh yeah, you know, okay, you don't consent to us coming into the house, but we're going to do it anyway. Great. So you just came into my house illegally. You violated a federal criminal offense yourself. You broke my federally protected constitutional rights, and you opened up yourself for criminal prosecution yourself. So they're not gonna do that.
And people, and like I've said before, I mean, people legitimately, I'm telling you guys, the minute that you allow them in, you give them the opportunity to fabricate a case against you. And they will take that opportunity every single time. Every single time. Unless you have actual honest law enforcement officers, if they are politically motivated to close a case, it happens all the time where they will literally, again, it becomes a telephone game. It becomes, all the things. And nobody is not saying that all cops are bad. We're saying that you don't take that chance. You don't know which ones are bad.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm not
give them
saying
the
all
opportunity.
cops are bad. I'm definitely not saying all cops are bad. I'm saying the uniform stands for something. The person in that uniform, again, I have friends of mine that are police officers. Okay, trust me, I get it. But when they put that uniform on, it doesn't matter if they're my friend or not. That uniform stands for something that I do not believe in. Especially when they start, enforcing policy instead of, if you ask most police officers when they're in uniform, what's the First Amendment? What's the Second Amendment? What's the Fourth Amendment? You start talking to them about the Constitution, and they'll never answer you, because
Right.
once that uniform's on, they're not allowed to do that.
A lot of the time, they don't even know. To be honest, I cannot
Right.
tell you how many times I've literally talked to officers, even in the classes, the constitutional law classes that I've taught at precincts. Whenever I've come in and done their train, like I've done their continuing education training and stuff for constitutional law, constitutional rights, whatever. Half of them were like, I literally, the first question I ask is, have you guys read the Constitution? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. 9 times out of 10, they've taken oath to the Constitution. They've never even freaking read it. That's wild, guys.
You're going to take an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution, the federal Constitution, and then you're going to tell me you've never read the Constitution. So then how in the world are you supposed to uphold the laws? Oh, wait, you're not upholding the laws. You're upholding policy. That's what they do when they pull you over. If they pull you over for going 60 in a 50-mile-an-hour zone without harm, like, who's the victim? Where's the law? Who broke the law? No, we're going to pull you over and enforce our policy.
I did that
So
once and got a ticket.
Right. So it's not that they don't want to follow the law. It's not like they don't want to uphold the law. It's most police officers don't know the freaking law because they're not trained in the law. They're trained in policies and procedures. Same thing with lawyers.
And someone just asked for emergencies. Should you only allow emergencies and them? And here's the thing. They can even come to your house on a welfare check. They cannot use that welfare check as an incident to search. So they can't be called there for a welfare check. And let's say they see something illegal. They can't, unless it was in plain sight, by the way. Plain sight's different. But they cannot come for a welfare check and then literally start going and opening closets or things like that and then start searching the property. They can't use a welfare check or anything. Emergencies are different. Yes, you can absolutely let them in to save somebody's life, but that's not going to, I mean, it's not going to matter because they can't use that as an incident to create a case. They're there to save your life or to help you in a medical situation. It's completely different. It's a night and day difference.
Have you ever seen a TV show or a movie where police officers show up at a house and they say, "Hey, can we come in and talk with you?" And the homeowner lets them in, and one police officer is standing there talking with the person, and then the camera shows another police officer walking around, wandering around the house, looking at stuff, picking stuff up, all this other kind of stuff, and just trying to gather whatever.
Guys, we're
evidence
not cop. Hold on, stop.
They can't do that.
Hold on, guys. We're not bashing cops. Understand this. We're letting you know what your rights are because there are bad cops out there. I have some of my best friends are cops. I have cops that I get on platforms with all the time. And we talk about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Sue's best friend is a cop, and he's literally in Sarah Sue's room all the time. We are not cop bashing. So don't sit there and say this cop bashing ain't it. I love this room, but this cop bashing ain't it. We're not bashing cops.
No, not at all.
We're telling you that they're just like any other. There are bad. The problem is that they are in a position of power, guys. There's a difference. They have a badge, they have a pew-pew, they have all the things, and all it takes is one bad move on their part or staying silent about someone else's bad move to legitimately ruin somebody's life for the rest of their life.
Right.
Quite possibly. They don't get to have a bad day because every move they make, every step they take, every decision that they make can absolutely unequivocally affect you. When they have the power to take away your freedom, they are held to a higher standard. If you don't know what those rights are, then you're screwed. You are screwed. And most of the time they will sit there and sweet talk you and be like, no, we can do this. Or yeah, we do it all the time. Well, just because they do it all the time doesn't make it legal.
Yep.
And that's what we're trying to explain here.
They're
So
trying
we're
to
not cop
explain your
bashing.
rights.
I don't hate cops. What I hate is the cops that literally sit there and stay silent because another cop did something that they were not supposed to do and they don't speak up. That's just as bad as the one that did the wrong thing because they're not speaking up and they're allowing the corruption to continue. That's the stuff that we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking about the incidents like know your rights. And just like this, take what happened to, does anybody know what happened to Sonia Massey?
My God, guys, nobody's, okay, I'm going to get out of here. Nobody's arguing, guys. Nobody is arguing. This is not arguing. I'm simply explaining.
This is what a intelligent conversation and discussion looks like.
I don't do drama. I do not do drama. This is not drama. If y'all think this is drama, I don't know what to tell you. But I will tell you right now, this is not arguing. I'm just saying I am not going to sit here and be told that we're cop bashing because there is a huge difference.
No, so if you guys see that in the comments, mute it because we're not doing that in here. They're literally accept the knowledge from people that have the law field.
And we're talking about winter, guys. This is about winter. This is about why they can't search the house. Right. We don't have any other information on winter. We're explaining and answering questions in the chat.
Correct. And literally, guys, when we tell you that know your rights to certain things, you have rights, exercise them. Just like you also have the right to remain silent. Exercise it when you need to.
You got to know when to use the silent thing, though. In criminal law, in administrative law, it's different. When you're going through family court and CPS courts and stuff like this, silence means a different thing, right? It means consent. You are consenting. Like I just made a video on this today. If you are not directly rebutting, or in writing, you are consenting. There are so many different levels of consent, different ways that you can consent. So don't be silent just because I'm not going to agree with this. I'm not going to play their game, so I'm going to stay silent. No, that's not how you do that.
Right? Exactly. Look what, and I want anybody to, I know somebody else in here will also see this. I know Kristen's on these cases. I don't know about you, Dallas. Look at Sonia Massey. She was in a mental crisis, and they came into their home, and she was acting like, I mean, she had a mental breakdown, and she was pee-pewed and unalived. Read up about her. She was really going through a crisis. And she kept saying, I'm fine. But look at the body cam footage.
Is that the girl that had the boiling water?
Yes.
Okay.
And they said she tried to throw that boiling water, but she didn't.
Oh, that was the girl in the kitchen.
Yes. And
Yeah.
she
Okay.
only had the pan in her hand. She wasn't acting
No.
like she
Yeah.
was going to throw it.
That was this. That I mean, forgive my language here, but that was a straight up execution.
Did the cop end up losing his job?
I mean, she said I rebuke you in the name, and then he pew-pews her?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, what in the actual, are you serious? And this is the shit I'm talking about. And again, not all cops would do that. No, of course not. But that one did. And that's the point, is that when you let them in or they're there for that, you're not protected. You are not protected if you don't understand, or if you don't, again, I mean, it can happen in a split second. All they have to do is their ego has to get stroked, or they have to believe that, you make one wrong turn in front of them, they get trigger happy a lot of the time. That's the whole point that I am trying to make, is understand and protect yourself, because you can sit here and say all day long, well, I'm an upstanding citizen. Well, so was I. So was I.
Right. Like, you can absolutely look at this, and if you don't know her story, I highly encourage you guys going and learning about Sonia Massey. It was
It's a
so
sad
sad.
story. I mean, I watched that video and it straight up pissed me off.
Yes, I
I
was
mean, it
so
just
heartbroken for that woman and
yeah.
her family. That woman was having a mental breakdown. She was at her mental break, and she allowed them in. She told them to come on in. They came in. She was standing in her kitchen, and she kept saying, I'm fine. And then she was holding a pot of boiling water. It looked like she was getting ready to pour it in a mop bucket or mop the floors or whatever she was doing with that boiling water. She only had the pan in her hand. She did not toss that pan at the cops. She didn't do any of that. She didn't threaten
Question. I
them
mean,
like that.
I'm wondering to myself why the officers thought it was appropriate to use lethal force instead of like a stun gun or something, or something non-lethal. Instead, they
Yes,
just, because she's having a mental instability moment, they just said, yeah, she doesn't need to be here anymore. Let's just take her out.
right. And he was charged with that.
Was he
He is now
convicted?
charged with her murder, but he literally, all she said with that water in her hand is, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And then it was pow.
See, there was more than just one officer there, though, right?
There was three.
There was three, so
Yeah.
all three of them need to be charged and thrown in prison. Every single one of them, because the other officers are complicit in it. Did they arrest him? No. Did they do anything that was that would be considered um, lawful? No. When you have
Right.
officers, when you have three officers in a room and one of them commits that kind of an act, and the other two officers just like stand by and go, oh, well, okay,
Right.
right?
Because if I was with an officer on scene and that was occurring, I would be like, okay, we need to talk her down. We need to talk to her, see if she's okay, if she needs a mental evaluation. Don't pull no weapon on her. Like, I would have been the first one to stand up and say, don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't fucking do that. You got this woman that's literally minding her own. She's in her home. She's in her kitchen. She's having a mental crisis, and we're just going to eliminate her because we
Yeah.
feel she's a threat. She wasn't no threat.
Kim here in the comments says that they're not even properly trained for situations like that, or something like. Okay, what was that comment?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
they are
true.
not trained to deal with mental health issues, and for the most part, yeah, she's correct. But here's the problem: is most police officers, and I'm not bashing on police officers. I wish they would get more training because um, most police officers, they're not even trained in the actual law, let alone mental health crisis issues. So when they get thrown, oh, here's a gun, here's a badge, go out there and uphold our policies. Don't worry about the law, So and then that happens. That's a tragic, tragic, tragic event. Easily could have been preventable. Easily.
Yes.
Hi, Dora. Hi, beautiful.
Hi.
I just want to come up and say this. There has been zero cop bashing in here. I'm a retired LEO. My husband's a retired LEO. And what is being said is 100% true. He will not allow law enforcement or anybody else in our door without a warrant.
Yep.
We are not to be questioned unless under certain circumstances without an attorney present. And this is coming from a cop. My husband will
Correct.
tell you, do not let CPS, do not let law enforcement in your home without a warrant. And
Correct. Nobody's bashing on the police at all because you know what? I have a high respect for those that do protect. And I have a high respect the ones that go out there and risk their lives every single day to ensure the safety of other residents and that do uphold the law and do abide by it.
Yep.
And
Right.
do abide by their duties because there is good cops out there. There is a lot of good cops that truly abide by it and they truly are there to assist. They're not there to harm you. There are plenty out there. We're not bashing them for
And we
not
need to
we're just
protect the
saying
good
know your
ones.
rights.
We need to protect
Exactly.
the good ones that are doing it right, because those are the ones that end up being made to look bad. They're the ones that are legitimately sitting there, like she just said, her husband is is literally saying and doing all the things that I just said. And most of the time, this is the stuff that the officers are going to tell their own families, but then they turn around and do the opposite with you. And that's the point that I'm trying to make is understand, would you let me talk to you? If I was your child? No, absolutely not. No, you wouldn't.
Hell
So
no.
we're not, you know what I mean? It's a double, you know what I mean? And that's what frustrates me. And that's the whole point I was trying to make, is that if they would do the absolute opposite, then why are they violating your rights? You have to know that. A lot of times they'll come in, like I said before,
Right,
and
Angie.
they'll legitimately sit there and say, oh yes, we can do this. I can and I will, is what these officers will do. Or they'll put people on 24-hour hold and then go back and do the search of the home, which is not incident to arrest. The search has to be before, not after the arrest has already been made. All these things are things that people have to understand, or else they're going to get taken advantage of. And that's our whole
Yep.
point.
And
And
if
again, the
this
only
is
reason why,
anything, take in the education from what these guys are saying. Take in the education and take in the knowledge behind knowing your rights altogether.
and thank you for coming up, Heathen Mimi, and saying that, because it's reassuring to know that there's other, again, other law enforcement out there and their families that understand this too.
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
said, there's bad in every field. It's definitely not,
Yes,
uniform across the board at all. And that's not
exactly.
what
So
we're.
I know a great cop. I know a
it's the
guy in
same
Nashville.
it's the same concept with, I mean, if you learn anything from my videos on CPS. Yes, I am teaching you guys your rights. I'm teaching you how to enforce those rights with authority. And at the exact same time, I'm exposing all of the corruption within inside of the system on child trafficking. I'm telling you exactly what you need to know in order to defend against CPS workers, against their
Yes,
supervisors,
Dallas. Did you
against the
see
colleges.
today?
So here, hold on. So what I'm saying is, I'm not bashing every single CPS worker. I'm telling you, they are trained specifically in psychological warfare to get you to comply with their policies for a reason. If you don't know your rights and the authority that becomes behind those rights, and how powerful you truly are, they're going to trample on those rights all day long until you learn how to defend yourself. It's the same thing with the police officers. Police officers they do not have a legal obligation to tell you or give you your rights. If you don't know your rights, they will trample all over them all day long. Why? Because they are tax collectors. They are there to make money for the state. If you
Yes,
can
and good.
recognize that for what it is, great, fantastic. Just know how to protect you and your family.
It's basic knowledge. Soak in that knowledge because you could apply it in the future. You never know. Like Kristen said, you never know when that comes down to you. And again, Dallas, did you see today where, like you said, human trafficking? They rescued 43 kids today in Florida.
Yeah, yeah.
43 children. That is a lot of children with Operation Northern Lights.
The question is once those children are rescued, where do they go now? Do they go back into the CPS system where they traffic children? Where exactly are they taking these children to protect them now? It's fantastic that they rescued these 44 children. I freaking love that.
Yes.
But we
Again, that's
right.
my concern.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I expose the trafficking so much is because we've got to start recognizing the system for what it is. It goes a lot deeper than what people realize. If we figure out what they're doing with these children after they quote unquote rescue them, okay, well, great, you rescued 44 children. Let's have a follow up session in the next three days, in the next 72 hours, to find out exactly where you're placing these children and how they're doing psychologically. Give us that update. And they because
Right. Give us the update of how they are.
they never do. And why is that?
There should be mandate that you give us an update. Let us know, is these children being fostered? Are they putting back into the system or are they going home to their families? And what's the family dynamic? Like, is there reason to believe that this could potentially happen again?
Mm-hmm. It's going to happen again because children are inventory for the system. If CPS does not remove your children, they don't collect federal funding. So if police rescued 44 children today, and that's fantastic. I freaking love hearing that. It warms my heart every time I hear something like that. Every time
Yep.
a parent wins their case and they get their children back, it lights my soul on fire. I'm just like, that's fantastic. But what happens to the children after they're rescued? That's what kills me. That's what just drives me nuts, is because we don't find that information out.
Yes. Yes. What happens to these children after they're rescued and put back? Are they putting back into the system? Are they going to the same place? Are they going to it?
There,
Honestly, it
Mama
needs to be
Jones.
a better system.
Mama Jones keeps asking, what can they do to get CPS to remove winter siblings from the foster home? Guys, they're not. They're getting paid for those children being in the foster home. That's the point we're trying to make.
CPS is not going to remove the children from the foster home. If they do, they're just going to put the children in an okay. Let me show it. I'm a victim of child trafficking. I was a victim of child trafficking from the age of 7 to the age of 15. Every single home I was in, every single group home, it did not matter where I was placed. I was massively tortured, starved, uh, molested, just massively abused in every single house you can imagine. They don't care about children. They care about federal funding. It's a corporation where children are literally inventory. They're inventory. So if they remove the children from that home, they're just going to replace that. They're just going to stick them in another home where they may or may not actually do a criminal background check. Who knows, right? And then the cycle just keeps on going through. The cycle, it's just a revolving door.
And it's literally written in the law. The law very clearly states that where they get the funds. Clinton is the one that wrote it into the administration, created the bill, and it literally says that the states get the funds once the child is taken. It's the only way that they get their funding.
And then we wonder why it continues to happen over and over and over and over and over again for decades.
Yeah.
Exactly,
It's
Kyra,
crazy.
because it's a money grab. It's a money grab. They're going to make you check all the boxes and jump through all the hoops to try to get your kids back. And then they're still going to find a reason because, again, they are getting paid and they're not going to lose that funding. It is very rare, very, very rare, and it's unfortunately very rare to get the kids back once they are put in the system.
So
And
what
it's
has
sad.
to happen?
Can
Here's
we
here's
clear up real quick that those two children that are left there are not Dusty's children, guys? He was only Winter's father. Everybody in the chat's like, well, they need to give him back to him. They're not his.
well, yeah, that changes things.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
they're not
youngest
his.
one
One
is
is
Kyler's.
Kyler's.
Yeah, and the
Yes.
middle one, we don't even know who the middle one's dad is.
How do we not know? That's kind of crazy.
She's never, I mean, Summer's never said, but we know that the youngest one is Kyler's because of, well, the
Yeah,
mom,
that's
his mom, and all that stuff, but we don't know who the middle, the
yeah,
dad
that's
of the middle
nuts.
one.
Right, and we don't know that. And the problem is Dusty, he's not their biological parent. He can't go do anything. Like he said, he was in the process of getting Winter back at the time. He was doing everything that he was supposed to do, following CPS's guidelines, everything they were telling him to do.
Yeah.
What we have to do
Yep.
as an entire nation, every single state. Okay, if you've seen my videos, you know that I'm moving to Nevada here at the beginning of the year, and there's a very big reason why. Every single state operates almost very, very similar to because they're all collecting federal funding through the same program, Title IV funding. They all have the same contract with the federal government. They're highly, highly financially incentivized to remove children from their homes. Okay, the federal system, the Title IV funding has to be completely torn apart and reconstructed. You cannot financially incentivize CPS agencies to remove children. It's never going to fix the problem. You're always going to have a child trafficking epidemic with that type of incentive. You need to completely reverse that process. You need every single state, every governor needs to go in and revamp the contracts that's stating with the government, the federal government, and say, hey, you are now going to be financially incentivized to actually provide true and authentic services for these families. If a family, oh, we're having trouble paying our rent this month, or we can't pay our electric bill, oh, well, we're going to have to remove your children because now that's neglect and abuse for your child.
Because
No,
you're
it's not.
poor. And I told that
No, it's
story the
not.
other day.
What it means is you need help. So
Yep.
you okay, great. As a service industry, how about CPS come in and say, hey, we're going to pay your $800 electric bill this month, and we're going to help you do that, and so you can keep your children. And if you guys need help with other services, we're going to do that for you. How about the federal government start financially incentivize agencies to do that instead of
But
removing?
but they don't. They remove them and then they pay another family to raise a
Correct.
child, which makes zero freaking sense.
Correct.
Instead of helping the family. I told you guys the other day the story of the family who literally got their car stolen out of their driveway. It was totaled. They didn't have the means to buy another vehicle. The dad ended up losing the job. And then they ended up losing their house as a chain
Yep.
of events. Then they lost their kids because they didn't have anywhere to live. And then they were adopted out
But see,
almost
that's the
immediately,
thing.
guys. Almost immediately.
That's the bizarre, stupid, idiotic thing about it is that just because a family is poor, even if a family was homeless, that does not constitute imminent danger for the children.
Absolutely.
And the only way that you're supposed to be allowed to remove children is either through a legal and lawful warrant, through probable cause of imminent danger, or consent.
Yes, and that's what we're talking about when it comes to Winter, because I have seen questions all day like, why can't you just go there and start protesting, and why can't you just go there and go search the property? Because some of that is private property. That is violating their rights of their own property, and I could be arrested for that.
You can't break the law in order to enforce the law.
Correct. You can't. And the problem that we're having with this case is they can't barge up in their home and check for anything when first they've already checked. They said they checked in the beginning. But if they find probable cause, like AKA a piece of her clothing laying by the pond, then that warrants probable cause for them to go to that pond and search.
Right.
They would have to
Right.
explain that to a judge. You can't go up to a judge and say, hey, judge, I want to go to this pond because I feel like I should. You know what he's going to say to you? It's get the hell out of my courtroom. That's not a probable cause of anything occurred there.
You would hope so in a perfect world, but unfortunately, I would say 99.9% of the time. And again, there are good officers that won't go and do that, but there are officers that will go. And this is where it doesn't make sense to me. There are officers that will go and violate somebody's rights and go to a judge. And I would say 99.9% of the time that an officer or a prosecutor goes to a judge for a warrant, it's going to get granted.
Beach girl, you cannot fly a drone over the land. That still constitutes a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We have to get permissions for that stuff because it is private land. It's the Daniel Boone National Forest. Also, it's the Appalachian Mountains. Also, through there is private properties, private
Unless it's been
owners.
deemed as a national security threat, they cannot fly a drone over those lands.
And it has to be a certain amount of feet. So like California, it's 500. Like if it's below 500 feet, it's a Fourth Amendment violation. If it's above 500 feet, then it's not. Like there's certain, you have to look at the facts of the situation. This is why we speak on this. I know sometimes it's boring for people, but there are a lot of people that want to go out there and do good and want to help and want to go protest and want to do things. You don't want to be one of those protesters that gets thrown in jail because you did something wrong that you weren't supposed to do. Yes, for
Correct.
trespassing, they have to give you a warning, but if there's signs, they don't have to warn you because the sign was the warning and you can go to jail.
Dead
Correct.
Barbie. What about helicopter? Just fly. You cannot do that. If a helicopter flew over the land, like even real quick, took some snapshots, did some reconnaissance, recon work, they would still have to explain. Okay, well, where did you get these photos? How did you get those photos? Oh, well, you obtained those photos illegally.
They
Therefore,
wouldn't be
they have to be
admissible
thrown back.
under the rules of evidence. Yes. So you have to lay a foundation and show that it was that they were obtained legally. Yeah, you
Yep.
can get the pictures all you want, but you're not going to be able to submit them as evidence at trial.
It's the
And if
same
that gets
principle. It's the same
yeah.
principle. If I lived in a two-party consent state, like say Washington State is a two-party consent state. You cannot record somebody's personal conversation and then go into a courtroom and present that as evidence because you didn't get consent from the other party for the recording. It's the same concept. It's illegally obtained evidence, which you cannot be admitted into court.
Correct.
For images, like are you talking about like Google Maps and stuff? They're not admitting that as evidence in a court to convict somebody of a crime. There's a difference.
Correct.
I'm going to
There's a
interrupt for
huge
2
difference.
seconds, please. I just wanted to say thank you, Dora, for letting me come up. I miss you, especially from the old days.
Girl, I'm so glad you're here. I am doing this because like I said, I've always found my passion in true crime. Everybody knows that has watched me for a while, and I really am focused on being a voice for those that do not have one at the time.
Yeah, and this is a much more mentally sound community than prior, is all I'm going to say. But unless anyone else has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and drop down, and I'm going to ask the chat to please respect our host and give her some taps and love, and I will be down in the comments.
Thank you, Mimi. I appreciate you, babe.
Appreciate you.
And someone said, I don't know who said it, but someone said that the evidence has to be approved or so the way that it works is that the evidence gets admitted through your witnesses at trial. So you have your direct witnesses, and then you have your direct examination for your witness, and then cross-examination for the other party's witness. And then you have to lay an appropriate foundation to prove that that individual has the specific knowledge that they can speak in order to introduce that specific piece of evidence. Once that foundation has been laid, then at that point, they would ask the judge if they have permission to publish that piece of evidence. It goes up on the screen at trial, and then they start asking their series of questions, and that's how that gets admitted at trial.
And then
But
you
like
and
we were,
then you have to go through your local rules, state rules for evidence.
yeah,
Okay, did you properly authenticate your evidence? If not, boom, it gets thrown out.
yep. And the rules of
And
evidence are the
again,
reason why so much evidence doesn't get submitted at trial.
yes, it's crazy. Yes, Winter is in Kentucky out of Rockcastle County. She is missing. She has been missing since October the 14th.
Oh, my neighbor flew his drone over the property. Great. Now we're going to submit that evidence. Great. Now the neighbor gets called up to the stand, and he gets cross-examined. Even if the judge allows the evidence to go into play, great. Now the neighbor is going to get cross-examined. Oh, are you an expert in aerial photography? No. Oh, do you have an FFA license to be flying a drone at this height? Like there's so many different questions and qualifying things that go into play and all those things. Um,
And
it's
did you
it's
obtain
so
these
hard.
photos
It's so much
legally?
more strategic than people think.
Yep. And then it's going to lead to the question, did you obtain these photos legally? Oh, you didn't. You just flew it over without consent.
And that goes to whether or not there was a warrant for them to even fly the drone over the property in the first place. Or if that individual had permission in order to fly that drone, like you said, over the property. Let's say, it was a party and they were taking they were taking video footage, or they were doing something, and the neighbor knew or had the knowledge, right? We're talking civil case now, right? Possibly criminal case in certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you have to be able to prove that that drone was, one, flown legally, or two, that there was a warrant in order to obtain those snapshots or that video footage, or else it just gets thrown out.
Right.
Yes, I was going to say you have to have a license to even fly a drone after a certain altitude.
So
Like kids these days can't just fly a
So
drone.
here in Kentucky, I've looked it up. The law says in Kentucky, drones have to be below 400 feet above ground level, remain within visual sight, avoid aircraft and people, follow FFA rules with no location, Kentucky laws overriding these federal guidelines for general use. For commercial Part 107 pilots, sorry, hold on.
And the 500, just to what Dora was saying, the 500-foot rule is pretty standard in almost every jurisdiction.
So I held a FFA certification for drones for many years because I've been in the professional film and photography industry for over 20 years. So I did a lot of aerial photography, and especially in Texas. And I took my drone. I've had my drone 3,000 feet in the air. But you have to be very cautious and aware of what the laws are. You have to be very knowledgeable in what you're doing. And yeah, and if you're not licensed and you have a drone that high, you're going to get in trouble. And most drones, you can't even operate a drone within 3 miles of an airport. You can't even, you won't even be able to take your
That's a
drone off
major
the ground.
FFA violation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone asked, can't you use the legal evidence to collect legal evidence? Again, you have to understand that every case is different. There is a different fact pattern for every single case. The no two cases are ever going to be the same. I would say, to answer that question again, I would have to know what the circumstance is that they could have illegal evidence that gets thrown out, but still have obtained. There's something that's called the inevitable discovery doctrine. If the evidence was inevitable to be discovered at some point, regardless if it was illegally obtained or not, there's an exception. There's always an exception to the rule in certain circumstances, but you have to look at what you're referring to. You also have to look at how serious the crime is that the person's being charged with, right? Like there's a multitude of different things that you have to look at in order to make that determination. But I would say 99% of the time, I'm going to give that 1% exception, but 99% of the time, no. Illegal evidence cannot be used in order to collect legal evidence because they're going to have to lay the foundation on how that evidence was obtained. And if
Right.
anything about the way that it was obtained was illegal, even including, right, up to and including obtaining that specific piece of evidence, it's going to get thrown out as part of the suppression as well.
So somebody said in the comments here, in Kentucky, you can fly it over private property. Yes, but you have to follow the FAA rules. So here I looked it up also. Yes, you can fly a drone over private property in Kentucky, but you must follow FAA rules and be mindful of state laws regarding privacy, trespassing, harassment, and property owners. As a property owner, have the rights against intrusive filming or hovering, and flying over infractured or filming people without consent can lead to legal trouble. Again, he's not consenting for anybody to come on the property, let alone fly a drone.
Right.
He completely, when the Hatfield and McCoy people went out there to do the interview with him and they were recording him, he went ballistic over him being recorded in his interview of him talking.
Again, yeah, I mean, to the people that are saying just don't get caught, again, can you do it? Sure, you can use the remote and you can fly a drone over anywhere, right? Yes, you can do it. Is it legal? No. And is it admissible in court to prove a crime? No. That's the whole point that we're trying to make, and that just to simplify it.
Correct. But what if someone finds a body? It doesn't matter. They can still sue you. They can still take you to court over invading their privacy.
Civil is completely different than criminal, number one. And number two, that would come to what I said is that there's an exception to every rule. Inevitable discovery doctrine. Is it inevitable that that body would have been found had that drone not been used to fly over the property to find the body? If it is, then there are exceptions to where that footage may in fact still be able to be used, especially if it shows quite possibly who was committing the crime or something along those lines. Again, you have to look at the fact pattern. You have to look at the specific jurisdiction. You have to look at, there's so many different things that have to be, that you have to consider in that case when determining if a piece of evidence is admissible or not.
I'm going to jump in for a second. So I don't know, a lot of people seem like they're new to this case. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard or read the press release that was put out by Rockcastle on November 14th. It is 2 pages. It looks like it was typed in 1985. But in this press release, it says, I'm not going to read the whole thing unless y'all want me. But
Yes, if you would like to read that, Mind of Monsters, I would really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's local state law enforcement and civilians. The searches have been conducted in the area where Winter was first reported missing, along with other areas of reported sightings. And then it goes on to what else that they have done. But they did originally have drones over the area. But like everybody has been trying to explain the other night when I was live with Dora on my panel, we looked it up. And FFA rules are very strict. And you cannot just take your drone and fly it over this man's property. You
Exactly
will end
what we were
up
saying.
with charges.
Yep.
And if y'all want me to read the whole thing, I'll be more than happy to.
Yes, if you could, Mind of Monsters, so that gives people some insight of what's been done. And
Absolutely. So anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Mind of Monsters. I'm Christy. I'm from Kentucky. I'm all the things. This is November the 14th of 2025. Reference to Winter Wagner. The Rockcastle County Sheriff's Office continues to work in cooperation with the Kentucky State Police, the feds, because we can't say the word on here, London, Kentucky Field Office, the United States Marshals, and several other local and state enforcement agencies in our attempts to locate Winter Wagner. Investigators have conducted numerous interviews, reviewed surveillance camera recordings, and will continue to follow up on all tips and information received. These efforts are being conducted on a national level. Multiple land and drone searches have been conducted with the help of Rockcastle County Emergency Management, local volunteer fire departments, local state law enforcement, and civilians. These searches have been conducted in the area where Winter first was reported missing, along with other areas of reported sightings. We continue to communicate daily. It's got a typo. It says with the Kentucky State Police, U.S. Marshals, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with other agencies to share information and coordinate efforts to find Winter. We cannot disclose specific locations, techniques, and technologies being used. The federal agencies that are assisting in this investigation, we will not share any information that could compromise the investigation and our goal of bringing Winter home. Additionally, for these reasons of safety and compliance with the laws regarding juveniles, we cannot share case information over the phone with persons that are not verified as Winter's immediate family. It goes on to say, if anyone with information is urged to contact Rockcastle County Sheriff's Office 24/7 at 606-256-2121, the Kentucky State Police, or your local law enforcement agency. And then it's signed by the sheriff.
Correct. This is not a large town, guys, either. This is not like you're seeing in Chicago. This is not a big city. This is a very small area and remote as heck.
And I know it's frustrating. Believe me, I absolutely know it's frustrating. I have been on Winter's case since the day after she went missing. So she went missing on the 14th. On the 15th, she was put on an FB post by Rockcastle. It had very little information in it. On the 22nd of October, they held a press conference. That press conference had very limited information in it, but they did explain all the resources that they were using as far as different departments and agencies that were involved. They told what she was wearing. And the most viable thing that came out of that whole press conference was the end of the press conference when the burner phone was mentioned and her running away to Florida with the message that she had sent to her cousin. Other than that, she's 13. She's missing. She's from Rockcastle, Kentucky, Rockcastle County, Orlando, Kentucky.
Do we know anything about her biological parents or biological family, of what they're doing or how they're handling anything?
Absolutely. So her mother is a struggling rug addict. She has tried, in my understanding, over the last few months to get herself cleaned and straightened out. Her father had done some time incarcerated from August of 2024 till June of 2025. He is currently trying to get himself straightened out as well. And she has on the biological side of the family, she has an aunt whose name is Haley, who has been absolutely phenomenal. And Haley is the one that put up the $5,000 reward for Winter's return.
Wow.
You guys are welcome in chat for reading it. And I know that the conversation going on was phenomenal. I just wanted to jump in and kind of clear a little bit out of the air, is that it is extremely frustrating. Believe me, it is absolutely frustrating.
Yeah, I want to pull my hair out at some things, but that's natural, right? Like, that's natural of all of us to be like, damn it. Like, why is this not being done? What's going on here? What's happening with this? But I can assure you, on this case, they did say that the three-letter agency, also the U.S. Marshals and Kentucky State Police and Rockcastle County Police are working this case.
And you also have Fish and Game, too. So, and
Yes.
I know that sounds crazy, and people probably that are not from Kentucky are probably going to scratch their head and go, well, why is Fish and Game involved? Because they have precedence over the waterways and the land. So it is good to have them involved.
And
This is not flat
you can
lands.
guarantee they know more than they're going to tell us. They're not going to release every move or everything to the public.
Exactly.
We
And it's
watched this
frustrating.
happen. We honestly watched this happen in the Rebecca case. We watched it happen on a day. They didn't release much. They didn't tell us nothing. And I know that we desperately want answers, but also we have to understand they're not always going to give us they're not always going to give us the answers right away. And you know what? And in Winter's case, they may know more right now that we don't know. That's why the other agencies are involved. Maybe they know something like she's in a different area. They don't believe she's within the state anymore. There's other agencies involved, and we may not know those answers. There's things that we're not going to know right now until it all comes out and she's found. But they also have to plan their moves.
Sorry, Dora. Sometimes I have a delay. I know there's questions about why are the alphabet police and the marshals involved. Let me explain to you. So you are talking about small town Kentucky. I know if you can hear it in my accent, this is my home. This is why I'm so just heartbroken and have been worried for the past 2 months about a child I've never met. This is my home. This is a small town without resources. About 2 weeks after Winter went missing, there was another girl that was a year older than her that went missing. She was found within a few days. Every case is different. But when they pull the resources from U.S. Marshals and the Alphabet Police, it is because these small town sheriff's offices don't have those resources. They don't have the resources to dump phones. They don't have, they just don't have that. I mean, they can pull you over for speeding or not wearing your seatbelt or, your normal everyday crime. But they're not going to be able to deep dive into a missing persons case like these larger agencies do. That's why the Alphabet Police has the CART team. And they not only, before this gets spread, they not only are in abduction cases, they help in all cases because they bring in resources from they bring in victims advocates, they bring in all kinds of resources when the CART team gets involved. So that it is very frustrating. Believe you me, it is absolutely frustrating because that's my home. My family is 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes from where she went missing. My sister is the reason I knew about Winter. My sister is the reason that I made a flyer. My sister's the reason that I knew that she was missing. And Dora is the reason why she's now getting traction on this app because I don't have a lot of followers. I don't get a lot of people in my chat. I've sit there for 2 months and showed her flyer every time I go live. But the stars aligned correctly and brought Sarah Sue and Dora into my live that night. And now the communities are involved and we all want her home. And believe me, I know it's frustrating. I'm telling you, I go sleepless nights where I'm sitting up because I've been a victim or a missing persons advocate for 5 years. If I could bring every single one of these kids home, but sadly it takes time in some cases. I have some cases that have been going since the day I started doing this.
Yes. Look at you, Kristen, on camera. Rolling out the red carpet on this app, girl. What you mean? No.
Hey, Dora, I gotta go. Thanks for bringing me on the panel. It's been a great conversation. This breaks my heart. I can't wait till we make some breaking ground on this case.
Absolutely, Alice, and thank you so much. No, calm down. My dog is so pissy today. Like every noise just irritates her. I appreciate you so much, and appreciate you for coming in and sharing your knowledge with us as well, because it's very helpful to know this information. And I appreciate getting to chat with you and all of us, collectively collaborating together, sharing our own thoughts and opinions, just like Dallas. He does a lot of follow him. He does a lot of work on CPS. He lets you know things that you might not know. All it takes is soaking in that knowledge.
Knowledge is power. You got that right. I'll see you guys next time, okay?
Absolutely. And Mind of Monsters, I want to thank you as well. You're incredible. Again, she has been a missing persons advocate for a long time, and I appreciate her knowledge. And like she said, we appreciate all the effort she puts in as well to these missing cases, because without it, all of us can't collectively work as one. It's better with a team of people. Just like Kristen may point out something, or Mind of Monsters might point out something, Allie, the people on my panel might point out something that I didn't see and be like, okay, well, what do you think of this? We talk about these cases, and actively talking about them and sharing our thoughts and opinions help get the word out there, their faces.
Absolutely. We're
just like
stronger
Kristen.
together. We are so much stronger together than we are apart. And when we get in these, I know they're called labs and boxes and panels and all the things, but in my mind, these are think tanks. And you'll hear me refer to these as think tanks because we have amazing people that put their insight in. Like I've never heard Dallas. I just sit here and was like awed and amazed and sat on mute and was a sponge and absorbing. Miss Kristen that comes in and puts in her expertise, all the chat that puts in their expertise. It takes all of us.
Yes, it takes a team, and collectively we collaborate well together. A lot of us collaborate so effectively and so easily, and I love that about this team over here. I really do. And just like Kristen last week, she was talking about the Alexis Harris case where the woman literally abused a child and bent her legs up over her head. Guess what? The collective amount of people, the people sharing it, the people reposting it, the people that was getting the word out there, she's now has been arrested. And if it wasn't for Kristen, we wouldn't have known about it.
And I want to say something really quick too, guys. There is nothing mean or hateful about I have a deep voice, I have a harsh voice, and I'm passionate. When I'm answering comments in the question, I'm not being hateful, I'm not being mean, I'm simply just what I want out of my entire platform. This is my third social media platform. I have been exposing corruption for years. I will always try to beat in everybody's head to protect themselves. Because again, and I'm not going to dwell on this, but if you guys don't know my story, go over to my page. I think it's like the fourth playlist over. It says Kristen's story. Listen to my story. I had no record. I'm not a criminal. My daughter walked outside to go jump on a trampoline and to play on a playground. And I spent 8 days in jail on a $10,000 bond and legitimately had to fight for 2 years to clear my name. Literally because this officer who I'm working a case on legitimately wanted to retaliate against me. And so I tell you guys this to protect yourselves because I don't want you guys to ever go through what I went through. I don't want anybody to ever have a bond restriction that says you can't be alone with your children who you were the sole caretaker for, by the way, who you wake up every morning and get them on the bus and take them to their activities and you run around ragged. You don't do anything for yourself. You're a dedicated mom, right? And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and out of nowhere, your entire life is legitimately like just you're like, what in the world? All because an officer filed a false police report because what he says is gold and what I say means nothing. And that's what happened. For 2 years, I had to fight to save my name. I had to fight to save my children. I had to fight to save everything. I represented myself and I was acquitted. And then everything was fine. And now I'm bringing a civil rights case against them. My point being is that I don't want that to happen to you guys. You could legitimately be the most upstanding citizen and one thing happens. Remember, we don't criminalize childhood innocence. A child accidentally walking outside. And by the way, just to be clear, she moved 2 counter height stools that were blocking the door and unlocked the door while I was in the laundry room getting her laundry. So it can happen. And that's why I'm so passionate about telling you guys this stuff because you don't have to do anything wrong for them to literally create a case against you. It will legitimately just happen. And so that's the point that I'm trying to make. And is this trust talk or family Bible or don't speak at all? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Keon. If you can clarify, I don't know what that means. But you know,
I can read comments, so I just.
Okay. Well, and I also don't. If that was that sovereign citizen crap, I don't subscribe to any of that shit. So if that's what they're referring to, which is usually like what people try to say that you're supposed to do and put your kids in trust and all kinds of stuff. Look, guys, you don't have to do that. The law is the law, and they literally tried to say I created a substantial risk to the life, body, and health of my child. Well, a substantial risk as defined by the law is an actual or practically certain risk or danger, not just the potential for risk or danger. And you can't take childhood innocence and then criminalize it and then go after the parent in order to try to claim that they did something nefarious. I didn't say, hey, Sadie, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Go play outside at 4 years old all by yourself. By the way, on video, it showed her looking both ways, crossing the street, by the way, in our cul-de-sac. We live in a court, by the way. So, like the same court that they all play in that has a basketball hoop in the middle that like all the kids play in. So there was like no, but the officer put that she was running around, playing in traffic, like all kinds of stuff. He just literally falsified an entire report. And so again, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. And that's the point is it just takes one. Yes, this is why I'm big on innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely. 100%.
Listen,
Because
I'm not kidding you. When I tell you Kristen is a huge, I'm going to track your ass and tell me where you are. You ain't going nowhere. Listen,
Dora knows. She was on the phone with me when I was on the street over while my kid went to his first party. I was literally sitting on the other side of the house like a psycho.
She was. I'm not kidding you. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm literally sitting outside on this street where my son's at a party and I'm watching because he better be where the hell he says he is. And he better stay where he says he is. And there was another time I was talking to her about a case on the phone and she literally was like, let me pull up Life 360. He's supposed to be at Target with his buddy and I'm going to make sure he's there because he better have his ass at Target. Right. Like she was freaking out because Life 360 zoned. You remember, Kristen, when Life 360
Life 360 grayed out and I thought that he put himself on private to try to trick me so that I didn't know where he was. How much is it, baby? I'll send it to you.
She was freaking out on him. She was literally flipping out. She was like, Dora, it's not.
Are you talking about the jump thing when I dropped him off and I lost my mind on him? I dropped him and all of his friends off at like the Slick City place or whatever. And then I couldn't get a hold of him. So I thought that he turned his phone off and I was literally texting him. I was losing my mind. I'm like, I swear to God, you're grounded when I find out where you're at, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, Mom, we're supposed to put our phones in lockers. Like it was in the locker. Chill out. You dropped us off here. And I'm like, sorry, I love you. I just want to make sure you're safe. So
she was like, you are so grounded when you get home. You're not answering my calls. You're not answering my text. It's done for. Like you are grounded. Your phone, you're not.
Yeah. No. And he's like, I'm literally where you dropped me off at, psycho. You're nuts. And then my middle daughter, I don't have to worry about because literally like on Halloween.
So hard laughing at her because at Target, you know how Life 360 will show you sometimes a couple like blocks away or it'll show you like up from where you're supposed to be. He was dropped off at Target with his friend and Kristen's literally freaking out because it shows him at another location than Target. And she's like, I swear to God, he was supposed to be at Target. I'm fixing to go there. He was supposed to be there shopping with a friend and I
track my kids like a crazy person. That's like my biggest fear is that something will happen. Like my middle daughter, I don't have to worry about. Like she like Halloween, she's over here dabbing. She's like, my middle daughter I have to worry about. She walks over and goes, weirdo. But I don't have to worry about her. Like she literally like these girls on Halloween were like, we're going to go to this like house party thing. She's like, okay, well then I'm going home. Like I don't really have to worry about her at all. My oldest like is impulsive. So I like always second guess like what he's doing just because I want to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. And then obviously my 7-year-old is the one that walked outside when she was 4. So I always have to like, now I have like PTSD when she tries to go anywhere. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I definitely, I'm not going to let anything happen to my kids. And so for this officer to literally create this report, and then if you watch the body cam footage, like he literally came over here, was like, do you know where your kid's at? And I was like, yeah, she's taking a nap. Like, so yeah, I had literally gotten her out of the bathtub. I sat her on the couch. She was about to go take a nap. So I was getting her she was the only time she wore pull-ups at 4 was like when she was napping. Cause she like she would still have accidents like occasionally, like during nap time only. Other than that, like if she was awake, she would like be fine. But like when she was like nap time, like we'd have accidents. So I went in the laundry room where I had like a rollout thing. Anyways, I'm getting all that stuff. And I had the 2 counterheight stools. One was like up underneath the door. One was pushed up against the door. And then both the door, like they were locked. She even told the officer that she unlocked the door and moved the stools. The other officer went over and told the one officer, who by the way, never got out of his car the entire time. Not even one time did he get out of the car until he got out to arrest me. And he's like, I don't care. I don't care if she unlocked the door. It's not hard to keep a kid in the house. It's just not. And that was his whole comment. Then when he's arresting me, he's like, you're going to sit for 24 hours and think about what you've done, falsified an entire report, literally the commentary on the body cam, which is another thing that they do all the time, the commentary that they put on the body cam in order to try to justify what they're doing is absolutely wild. Like, absolutely wild. They will add in situations that never happen just so they can justify what they're doing. Again, my whole point, I don't want to get off on this tangent. My whole point, this is about Winter. My whole point, though, is that if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And it's a simple childhood innocent act, right? That I never in a million years would have even thought would be a big deal, right? I was outside within 2 seconds. What I didn't know is that same officer had literally been telling all my neighbors that I was unstable. He had been telling all my neighbors that if they saw anything out of the ordinary to make sure that they called him immediately. For months, he had literally been telling him all these things and I didn't know about it. Mind you, in the meantime, I have a civil rights complaint for another client against that exact same officer for beating the crap out of an elderly man in a parking lot here in O'Fallon, Missouri. So again, if it had happened to me, it can happen to you. And that's why I'm passionate. There's nothing mean. There's nothing hateful in anything that I'm saying. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. I just truly am trying to get through to you guys that, like, I get you don't have anything to hide, but neither did I. I had absolutely nothing to hide. Zero to hide. But he created an entire fact pattern and an entire habitual situation that otherwise did not exist, and was able to literally get 2 charges, 2 felony counts against me. I was looking at 2 to 14 years in prison if I would have been convicted because my daughter walked outside. That's wild. For no reason. Yeah, I'm in St. Charles County, Missouri.
Yes, and she fought that and she was acquitted of those charges.
I did know the officer. So that same officer was the officer that I was working on a civil rights case against him and the county for a situation that had happened a year prior. And he was still on the force and I was the consultant on the case. And so, but again, it doesn't, I'll tell you right now, even though I knew the officer and again, he created this whole situation that never happened in order to justify what he was doing. Even if I didn't know the officer, this happens literally all the time. You want your money? Okay, hold on 2 seconds. I gotta send money to my daughter. Hold on just a second. She's like standing here staring at me. Hold on.
She cracks me up, like, literally. No, when I say I've actually seen her myself freak out because her children were not in the location or she thought that they weren't answering the phone. Like, when I tell you, I was laughing because she's like freaking out, like they're going to be so grounded.
Hey, I can sympathize with her. When Peyton was not even a year old, she propelled out her bedroom window of our apartment because she climbed up on her dresser, pushed through the screen, dropped her toy out, and propelled down. And a neighbor saw her, and her room was on the other side of the apartment. I had no clue. I thought she was in there playing. I've never left that child leave my sight since then. Ever. Like, and I could have went to jail. Had the neighbor not seen her, or she could have just been missing because somebody could have fucking grabbed her. Like, kids do crazy shit.
Yes, and they can get away so fast.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not understanding with Winter's case how she just up and out of there. Also, it with adults inside the home and leave.
Yeah.
That's where I'm running into the issue.
Me too.
Especially if you're cooking dinner and your visible sight is on that front door, how did she walk out with the backpack and leave, allegedly?
I just don't get it. I don't see her.
I don't see it either.
Teleport out of there. Let's put it that way. Nobody's seen anything. Just doesn't make sense.
Somebody in here said that they had a lock that you needed a key to get in and then to get out. Here's the messed up part. I ordered one of those. Well, here, let me show you guys. We have it now, but I ordered one of these magnetic locks that go up at the top of the door. Tell me why. Oh, wait, hold on. This one, you guys can see that. Tell me why it was literally set. It was set to be delivered the next day. The next day.
Of course
after this happened. Right. I had to order it. They didn't have it at Lowe's. They didn't have it at Home Depot. So I had to order it on Amazon. The Saturday. So this happened on a Friday. It was my son's 12th birthday too, by the way. So that was the worst. So I was arrested on his 12th birthday and then was in jail for 8 days on a $10,000 cash only bond. But yeah, literally Saturday was when it was set to be delivered. And then this happened. That's why I had the door blocked so that she didn't, because she had just learned how to unlock the door and I didn't want to take any chances. And sure as shit, she's like, yeah, I unlocked the door and I moved the chairs. And she told everybody everything.
Oh.
So it was very clear that there was like no, you know what I mean? There was no neglect. There was no nothing. But again, that's my point. That's all I wanted to say, guys, is like, look, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And there's nothing mean about anything I'm saying. I just want you guys protected, and they will try to take advantage of you. They will absolutely convince you or attempt to convince you. Right. Yeah, it's scary, Mandy. It really is. It's very scary. I still worry about it. I mean, she's 7 now. Thank you, guys. It still scares me. And she's 7, and she's at the age now where she's like, I'm going to my friend's house. I'm like, okay. And she can she has certain houses that she knows she can walk to. And then she has to come back if she's going to go somewhere else and check in with me. So I'm not a helicopter mom, and I never was. And that's part of the problem is I've become more helicopter because of this. And I shouldn't have to be, but you know what I mean? There's a level of trauma, obviously, that happens there. And it's I don't know I know what my rights are, and parents have a fundamental liberty interest in the care, custody, and control of their children and should be able to make determinations for their own kids. But it's this is my point that I'm making, is that it takes someone that legitimately just walks in and doesn't agree with what you do as a parent to be able to take your kids. That's wild. And it's scary.
Yes.
It's scary.
My mom freaked out like that once because I was little, and you know those little rideable Jeeps that you have when you're a kid that you can ride in the front yard? I literally, she couldn't see me out the front window because she literally, she kept an eye on me playing out in the yard because that was nothing uncommon for me. She couldn't see me. And do you know that I was in that little Jeep over by the bushes asleep in the Jeep? Literally, I had passed out and she was freaking the fuck out, literally wigging out.
Little Dora the Explorer was over there exploring the bushes and fell asleep.
I did. It was so funny because I think about that now. I was dead ass asleep laying across the seat, just chilling, sleeping. And she was wigging out. And I'm I remember to myself, as a kid, you don't understand the mama protection. And I'm like, Mom, why are you wigging out?
Right. No, you don't. You don't. And I try to explain to my kids all the time. I'm like, when you become a parent, you will understand the level of just fear that you feel in every single situation. They don't get it, obviously, when they're, that age, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. There was one time, and I was actually in Texas when this happened, and it scared me because my ex-husband calls me and he's like, Kenzie was supposed to be home. Her phone's off. I can't get a hold of her. Do you have this parent's number? And I was like, yeah, let me try to get a hold of them. Well, then they weren't answering. And then finally the mom texted me back and was like, we're out. It was just, I guess, Kenzie and her at the house. So she's like, let me try to get a hold of my other daughter to try to figure out where they're at. Anyways, it scared the absolute crap out of me. And that's the only time I ever had an issue as far as that goes. But I mean, it never goes away. It never goes away. My mom's still the same. That's just how I grew up. My mom's like that too.
My mom is like that now. Let me tell you, I am grown. I'm an adult, and she will be calling my ass 14 times and being like, where are you at? What are you doing? Who are you with? Who is there?
Yep.
One time I literally had friends over. She called me 10 times and she's like, who is there? What are you doing? Who are these people?
That's so
I'm
funny.
like, chill.
I told my mom the other day that I was coming over there. I was like, I'm on my way over. And she's like, okay. And then I never ended up making it over there. Right. And so then she texts me. She's like, are you okay? Are you alive? Is everything all right? And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. No, I got sidetracked with the kids and something ended up happening and I just never ended up going over there. And it was she's just like, okay, can you just tell me if you change your mind so I don't sit here and worry? I'm like, I'm sorry. Yes, I will. I apologize.
I do it with my grandparents because they're elderly and they like to take off. And literally, I track them because if they're not where they tell me they are, I'm blowing up that phone where are you and who the hell are you with? And the other day, they were like, we're going to Somerset. Well, Okay, cool. You're going. They're going to see my grandmother's aunt. And so I did not hear from them by 3 o'clock. And I'm like, where the fuck are you at? And who are you with? Like, what location are you in? Because you're in remote and your service is not showing on the app. Like, are you good?
Yeah.
She's like, no, we're eating. We're coming home. We'll be home at a certain time. Well, let me tell you, you best be, because they like to take off sometimes and they'll just want to take a Sunday drive to God knows where. And I'm like, I know you ain't. Like, what you're not going to do.
Hey, Grandma and Grandpa, you can't just be running amok around in the mountains.
Right. And they're so
No.
fearless. So fearless.
Right.
They're elderly. Elderly people go missing all the time.
Yep.
And I'm like, I know you ain't trying to take off and go to BFE and ain't telling nobody.
Right.
I literally had to hound that with them, truthfully, because I'm like, no. And they'll just be like, yes, mother. Yes, mother. I'm like, well, I'm trying to tell you, stay your asses at home.
Yeah, I mean, they do. They go missing all the time too. It's not just kids and middle-aged adults.
I did that with my parents. Oh, yeah, I'm like that with my mama too sometimes. But my mama still to this day is calling my phone, wanting to know who's here, wanting to know what's going on. I'm like, you were nosy. Chill,
Girl,
mama.
I lived in the same house with my mom for 7 years while I was taking care of her while she was dying. I was downstairs in the basement and she would call me, "What are you doing? I haven't heard from you I haven't seen you in the last 2 hours." What the fuck?
Yes. I'm trying to
That's what they
tell
do.
you. Like, I know you ain't about to.
That's what they do.
If I could keep my grandkids in a bubble, I would. Right. My grandpa's like that over me, though. I'm his only grandchild, and let me tell you, he is extremely protective. And one time I went on vacation and it was a few hours away. He was flipping out because I was by myself. And when I traveled the route, it's a long drive. And he's like, you let me know. He would call me, Facebook me every hour on the clock until he knew I was there and I was back.
Oh, I love it. I never had grandparents that give a shit, so I love that.
Oh, Razzle Dazzle wants to come up. I'm sorry, baby, I didn't see you.
Hello, this just has me thinking. I'm going to tell you about what happened to me when I was 13. Like I was like not I didn't want I just was staying in my room all the time, and then I got on this teen chat dating website. Age of 13, you just talk to anybody on there. This guy that I was talking to wound up to be 30 years old. And, so we would message back and forth. And then the FBI called my mom. I was at a friend's house and came over there. And she's like, what's going on? And they had all the stuff, like every chat, we talked about everything. And it turns out, like before they came to me, he was on his way to some 12-year-old wherever he was from. So anybody can end up just missing. It happens.
Yes.
It does.
Yes, and I thank you so much for sharing that with us because it does
You're welcome.
happen and it's crazy. It is wild. And, Kristen's got me hooked on this guy, a friend of hers that does online predators. He busts his online predators like that. Like he'll pretend he's a girl and he'll chat with the men and the men will try and he reports them to local police.
He said he pretended to be 19.
Yes, they do. It's freaking
And
crazy.
he ran his own little telecommunications computer stuff in his grandma's basement. I don't know if they've looked into any dating websites, but it can happen.
Oh yeah, it definitely can. And There could have been a hidden app on her phone that the foster parents didn't see. Or
And she could have talked to somebody on Roblox
yep.
or whatever.
Yep. Yeah,
You
that's
don't
yeah.
know. You never know. And that's the thing with these children. Like it's important to monitor their socials. My cousin, I drill that in her head all the time with her kids. Like she was a young parent and it wasn't common a lot. And now she's so overly protective and I appreciate her for that because she watches her daughter's TikTok. She watches her daughter's Facebook. Like it's monitored, locked down. Like you ain't about to chat unless she's not to add nobody she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or like with
And you
Adriana
have to
Boosie.
be that way. And children don't understand it right now. They just think you're being a bugged out mom. But when
Right.
they have children of their own, they'll understand that level of protection.
Crazy is how did our parents do it without all of that technology? Like I'm telling you, I don't know.
I think they had a sixth sense.
I had to have. I mean, I got that. You know, I think we all have that mama's instinct, but I just, I, it's just like that night I told you guys I sat there with Johnny when Johnny went to that party or whatever, feeling about it, and I was literally on the other street. And I kept calling him, and then he didn't answer. And I was like, I don't like this at all. I'm like, I'm coming to get you. And he's like, okay. And he like didn't even care at all. Came and got him, and he's like, I want to leave anyways. He's like, how'd you get here so fast? I was like, I was sitting on the other street. And he's like, you are a psycho. And I was like, okay.
And she was legitimately sitting on the other side of the street watching who was coming in and out.
Like there was the house,
I love it.
and then there was like the street that we came down dead end at the house that he was at, and then you could make a left or a right. I made a left and then sat on the street at like another stop sign for like an hour, and then I was like, I'm not getting warm and fuzzies about this at all. And
right, because
Nope.
he didn't answer you, and you was like, nope, I'm on my way.
Yep.
Like it's a wrap. The party's over.
Always answer mama.
I just thought I'd come on and share what happened to me and could yeah. So it can happen to
We
anybody.
appreciate that so much.
Yes.
I appreciate you. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I mean, it's one of those things, you know what I mean? Like you just, anything can happen to anybody. And that's why we're so passionate about what we do and what we share. And, you know, that's why we love you guys coming up and sharing your own stories because
it happens.
It brings awareness.
It
does.
Yes. It
Absolutely
may help
does.
another mama that might not know.
My name's Gail, by the way.
I'm sorry?
My name's Gail.
Oh, it's nice to meet you.
Nice.
I'm sitting here
So,
trying.
I mean, it's not Razzle Dazzle?
No, I change my name all the time.
Just kidding.
Like all the time. Like, because like you can change your name every 7 days. It's a thing.
Yeah. Love it.
But hopefully I just hope she gets found soon. And because like I said, I'm in Louisville and I've not, until I was on TikTok, I've not heard much about this story. So,
Yes, there's two children missing out of Henderson. It's somewhere in Kentucky that is 16 years old that are
those the friends Allie was telling me about?
It's the
Poor
sister,
Allie?
the daughter and the friend. Yes.
Yeah, Allie, I guess, talked to the mom or something earlier. She was texting me about it. It's crazy. And one of the moms is like not being very cooperative. I don't know. It's kind of wild.
Hopkinsville, I have family in Hopkinsville. I've been there.
Yes, it is in
Friends missing
Hopkinsville.
together?
Huh?
Did you say it's two friends missing together?
Yes.
Girl and her best friend. They've been best friends since kindergarten.
Oh.
Yes, and they're missing together. They took off. I reached out to the auntie, and the auntie, I asked if she would be willing to come on and talk, and she's like, "Oh, I have to ask her mom, and I don't know if she will."
Oh my.
Sorry, Dora, I don't mean to interrupt you, but someone just said this, and I want to clarify something too. Someone just said, I don't understand not being cooperative when it comes to your child missing. And someone also made a comment earlier that said, look, my mama bear is fierce, and, I know that we're not supposed to do XYZ, but if my kid was missing, look, I'm telling you right now, if my kid was missing, I would be doing all of the things, right? All of the things. The point that I was making is at the moment when the fingers start pointing, that's when you have to start being careful and realize, look, are they trying to just solve this, or are they legitimately trying to figure out what happened away
Exactly.
the concerns? That's the point that I'm talking about. I'm not saying 24, 48 hours, even 72, doesn't matter what it is. I'm not saying you don't do all the things, right? Like, there's no way. I would not just sit back and be like, nope, sorry, I'm not cooperating, I'm not helping, I'm not, like, hell no. That's not what I mean. What I mean is like we're all doing right now, right? Where we're like, it's the foster dad, it's the foster, something's weird, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, those things are going to happen. People are like, right? Because emotions are high and we want to know where this child is. And so my point is, like, in those moments, that's where they're going to consult, right? And they're going to say, look, we know we didn't do, and only they know whether they did or they didn't. It can be suspicious as hell, right? They could be 100% innocent for all we know, right? The suspicion and it does, again, this is a different situation. I'm talking about parents, right? Not necessarily what we're talking about with Winter. Because that's just weird that he would be like, she's not coming back, she's not welcome here anymore. Like, that just goes to show that they're not wanting to find her and they're not wanting to do the right thing. Like, none of that adds up to me. The point I'm making is, as far as not cooperating though, when all the fingers are pointing at you, you're going to eventually be like, look, I'm done trying to help. I tried helping you. Now everybody's blaming us. We have nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you have to put yourself in that position on what would you do if all the fingers were pointing at you? Would you be willing? Because you can't help find your kid if you're sitting in jail, right? And so that's the point that I mean, is like, you just have to stay aware, no matter how high the emotions are. You have to stay aware of when the fingers are being pointed at you and make sure that your rights are not being violated in that sense. The foster father gave her stuff back to CPS and said she's not welcome to come back there, even if she is found.
So it sounds like he doesn't care. It sounds like he doesn't care if she's found unalived or alive. Which
He never really sounded to me that he had much concern to begin with, because when the McCoys go out there, he claims that he didn't know he was being recorded. So if that's true, which I do believe, he didn't even think about it and he just talked. And so that's his true self, because he doesn't know he's being recorded. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And there's no concern in his voice, like, period. Just, it's like, well, she was a crappy kid and she ran away. I mean,
right. And that's how
who knows? Who knows if Sebastian Rogers will ever be found? That's a whole hoopla.
Amazing mind of monsters.
Yeah, the two girls that were missing out of Flushing, they were found safe.
I was talking last night. It was like 3 a.m. I was talking about that. Do you remember that Sean Daughtry case? The kid that was found suspended from the swing set with the motorcycle helmet bag over his head and the belt around his waist with his arm strapped to his side, and it was ruled a self-unaliving. That shit make sense. He was dressed in his stepdad's clothes all the way down to underwear. Bottom of his feet completely clean. And I've been like going down that rabbit hole again, because I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Zero sense to me. And the officers are even like, look, like, it's a self-unaliving. How? Like, just how? How is that even possible? How can you put,
how the hell is that possible now?
Bag over your head? How could your arms be, like, I'm talking, the belt was so tight the paramedic could barely even get the belt off. How can your arms be to your side with a belt so tight around you they could barely?
Yeah, I call bullshit.
Unaliving. How? It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm infuriated that's just it's just automatic. And these are the things that I'm referring to when I'm talking about this stuff. Is it's like, we have to look at the fact patterns of these cases instead of just the emotional aspect of the child being missing or the child being unalived. It's easy to do that But, if we're going to be invested in these things, we have to be able to kind of remove that emotion and go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Remove the emotion and everything else, right? Yes, I want this person to be found, but here's the facts of what can happen. Here's what these people know. You know what I mean? And when you start really breaking it down in that regard and kind of analyzing the entire thing, the cases take on a whole different theory or a whole different scenario a lot of the times. And that's where I'm at with, like I said, with the Sean Daughtry cases. It's like, how is that even possible? And then the shirt and the shorts were never found. But the button up and no, I'm sorry, it was the shirt and the shorts that were never found, but the button up, like kind of jacket or overshirt that he was wearing earlier were hanging up in his parents' closet. And then the 2-year-old, the minute the mom got back to the house, the 2-year-old was found under laundry and said that his friend was over at the house and was punching him. And they didn't believe the 2-year-old. Why would a 2-year-old just make that up out of nowhere? And this goes to the hearsay, excited utterance, right? Exception that allows in a scenario where the kid's freaking out. Yes, he's 2, but a 2-year-old's not going to say that somebody's friend was that. You know what I mean? They don't have that a brain developed enough yet to come up with a lie like that out of nowhere that somebody was there that wasn't. You know what I mean? And that's it. I don't know. All of these things are just wild to me, and then they go unsolved, and it infuriates me. It's just really, really frustrating.
That's extremely
Can I ask you
frustrating.
something completely
That's why
off
I
subject?
wondered. Oh, sorry,
Yes.
mine. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm in the swamps, guys. So sometimes my signal drags. I do have a question, just to pick your legal brain for a second. So, say there is a 501c3 that is a missing persons advocacy 501c3 that's established, and a TikTok profile uses their full name of the organization and their profile picture. Is that illegal or against copyright?
So,
I know
okay.
exactly what you're going for, Mind of Monsters, right now.
So it's there's fair use, and then there's obviously like if they have an actual copyright. If they actually created an entire profile saying that they are this nonprofit when they really aren't, then yes, they can't do that, right? If they're for lack of better terms, like if they're doing it to just try to promote that, then you can utilize someone else's logo and someone else's name under fair use, but you can't pretend to be, say, like a member of that nonprofit when you're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you would have to catch the person, per se, hypothetically, on a TikTok live saying they're a part of the organization that they have their whole entire profile built under.
Well, yes, and you would need the person who really does own the nonprofit, right? To would be the one that would have to file the complaint, because it would I don't know, I'd have to know more. Can you message me more about what the scenario is, and I can tell you, like I said, with these I can say
I know
yes,
exactly
but
what Mind of
there's
Monsters is
certain
talking about.
there's certain fact
Absolutely
patterns that we'd have to look at.
Yeah, I know the founder of the organization that's name and profile picture, that she designed the picture, the logo, and built the organization on her own.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
She's
share out a
actually
lot
the
of her
one.
flyers too.
and someone else is using it and claiming that it's theirs.
Oh, they have the full organization name and her
So
logo
yes, you
for
can
her
she
501c3.
would have to be the one to report it, because most likely
Okay.
they're utilizing that to obtain donations for a nonprofit that doesn't exist, so that they can take the donations and do it under someone else's name.
Okay, so say per se they had a GFM on their profile in their bio.
Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. So, but she would have to report it.
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you, love. Sorry it was off
Of course.
subject. I just
No, you're good. And I'm running in to grab food really quick for my daughter, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
I
here,
know
but I'm gonna mute
exactly
out
who
for a
you're talking
second.
about. And like I share a lot of her flyers, Mind of Monsters, but I leave her logo on them. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I got a DM about it, and I know her. I know her personally. Like I know both of them personally. Have sat down and had dinner with them, and I'm not quite too happy about it, but I just wanted to know legality purposes of it and who needs to do what. So that's pretty much what I told her was to how to take care of it, but I just wanted to make sure I gave her the correct advice.
Yep.
Yes, Dora.
Yep. I know, guys, that's crazy.
I'm not taking flyers down, Devilish. We want you to share flyers. Please, by all means, share flyers. Share as many flyers as you can. Do you need flyers? I'll send you flyers. Dora will send you flyers. That's not what I'm saying. There is a profile that is using a 501c3 that is an established 501c3 for missing people using their logo and their name.
Yes.
It's really loud in here, but it sounds like they're you doing it to try to obtain donations under a separate GoFundMe to make it look legitimate when it's not. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yep, looks the way it looks to me too.
Yeah.
I mean to throw off subject, but it's while I had her at my fingertips. I wanted to
No,
know
you're
what
good,
that was.
girl. And my inbox is always open. So if you and Dora has my number, she can give it to you. If you ever have any questions, feel free to text me or just let me know. I'm more than happy to answer anytime.
I appreciate you, Dora.
No, I was
Absolutely, because
getting
I'll
ready
send Kristen a text sometime. Like, what's your opinion on this? Can you tell me?
I was gonna ask. I wonder, and I know we'll probably never know. I just wonder if like the two little sisters were talked to and asked anything. Like, did they see anything? I just wonder.
I would hope so. With
Yeah,
the the feds
especially
involved,
the
I would hope
5-year-old.
that they brought in resources, because they have those resources that are specifically, trained to talk to children in these types of situations. So
Hmm.
I pray to everything higher that they did talk to both of those kids.
Yeah, like I said, at least the 5-year-old, because I don't think the youngest one would be able to tell you anything, but gibberish. But um,
Right.
you know,
Do you remember that little boy, you guys, that used to stand in the kitchen and be like, "Listen, Linda,
yeah,
I
that's
love
funny.
him." He'd be like, "Listen, Linda." But guys, I did want to hop on today and talk with you guys a little bit. I hate to run, but I am going to go eat dinner. I'm super late. Eek. For dinner, but I will be in somebody's box. Whoever's going live next. Mind Monsters, are you planning on a live tonight?
Ma'am, I'll do a late night live. I like to make sure that everybody, I like to enjoy all your guys' lives too. So usually about 10:30, 11, everybody's usually shut down, and I'm doing my real
Yes,
late
follow the
nights.
panel, guys. Follow Kristen, follow Allie, Mind of Monsters, Chastity, Maggie. Follow everybody in the panel. So you
I
guys
was
can
going
see us
to.
live. Hannah will be live, so I'll be going over there, listening in, talking. I am going to work on getting some more missing out there. There's quite a few. I'm going to post their flyers and get them updated to TikTok and update the ones that have been found. You'll see that posted here shortly. So I do appreciate all of you guys so much. Yes, Coochie.
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you for
gonna go
letting me up here,
live, but
Dora.
my guy was found. So
Real quick, Trash, you remember that Marcus Faisal case like 19
yes,
years ago?
yes, honey, that was terrible.
Did
God.
That
you?
coach was my son's football coach at the time. Y'all,
Oh,
you never know.
that's right.
You just never know. I never imagined this coach that was
Okay, honey.
coaching all these kids to do something like that. You just never
Yes.
know.
Yes, of course, Shelby. Send me a flyer. I'm happy to get it out there.
Always keep your eyes open and your ears peeled back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We
having
always keep
me.
our eyes open.
You're amazing. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat.
You're
Go enjoy
amazing, and
dinner.
I'll see you in your live. I'm going to go eat dinner because I am starving. Like, literally. Yes.
Go enjoy
All
your
right,
dinner,
guys.
girl.
I'll see you soon. Much love.
All right.
Love you.
Bye, love.
Bye, babies. I'll see you later.